Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Rich by Monday podcast. I'm your host, Jared Wilkins, aka the Google Grad.
And I'm Dorance Creighton. Welcome back.
Dorance is
Episode
live,
20.
live from the company storage room right now.
Right. I'm live from the storage room. Live from the storage room. You can see we expanding.
Yeah.
This is actually boxes full of cash. We don't need no verification of that. So
We all about this cap life now, huh?
yeah. Hey man. I'm going all the way in. Now this is actually my parents' house and my old bedroom. They're moving. Hence the moving boxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you
So
want to kind
full
of
circle.
you want to get into
The,
that?
the time to tell that story.
I mean, you're there. You're literally in the room. Like, will
I
there
guess
be another time?
it's a lot of symbolism behind this home, and this would be the time to share. So, when my parents, okay, so it's a lot. It's a lot tied up into this. So they're moving, which means they're selling the house, right? And I think Jazz asked me like, "How do you feel about selling the house?" It's kind of like full circle. And when she said that, I didn't really think about it. I mean, I was like, yeah. And what that means is full circle. If you don't know, I mean, I was introduced to real estate um, by watching my parents buy this property when I was like maybe 14 years old. And pretty much, and my dad was encouraging me to go through the process, and he would share with me what was going on, offers they missed out on. My mother too. They was always open about telling me what was going on in the household, right? So we always hear like the old adages of kids stay in the kids' place type thing, right? My parents was never like that. They were always like trying to make me involved in what was going on. Uh, ultimately, it helps you be an adult, right? At some point, you got to learn these things. But anyways, um, so he's telling me how it's going about them losing out on some properties, etc. And he told me one day, because I didn't go with them all the time to look at houses. They would go and come back, and one day they went out with the realtor to look at homes, and they was being really discouraged because um, they kept showing them homes in areas they didn't like, right? Um, more undesirable areas. And then this is Rialto, California, so the South Side is more less desirable. Now, not to say this is better or worse, right? Because we lived in a home in the South Side too, right by the old Blockbusters. So shout out to old Blockbusters. But they was being showed homes that they didn't like. And I remember my mother and dad was out driving around Rialto, just looking by themselves at this point. And they drove by a house they really liked and really enjoyed. And my mom said, "Y'all want that house? That's the house I want." So they called the realtor up and said, "Hey, we looked at this house on this address and this street. Um, my dad said, my wife really likes it." And the agent said, "If you see a house like that, you keep driving because you can't afford it." This is from their real estate agent. So my dad, in true fashion, okay, well, F you, you're fired. You tell my wife what she can't have, right? So unbeknownst to the agent, they were looking in a price range that they felt was more comfortable for them. So they didn't know that they were qualified for more than they needed, right? They were just looking in a certain range, just to save money. So he called up his agent, or not his agent, but his loan officer, and said, "Hey, my wife wants this type of house. Give us a pre-approval for a little bit more." Boom, wrote it up. He called some random agent that day and said, "Hey, put this offer in on the property," and that's the house they've been in for the last 21 years. So that was my experience. One of my first experience. Seeing how real estate was done, and I remember at that time it was a HUD statement, which is basically the final closing statement. Looking at it, and my dad was showing me what the real estate agent made, and I was like, that's something I could do, right?
Yeah.
I was probably like 14, 15 years old. This is like 2001, I think. Um, but yeah, but not only that, I was just like, you know what? When I go into the business, I'm not going to treat people that way. I'm not going to tell people what they can't have, and blatantly, discriminate against them based on what you perceive they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
So to get back to the full circle, now we listed their home for sale, and their firstborn is the real estate broker on it. So, and now I can help them buy their next house, which we found the next house,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't have to deal with that anymore at all. So, which is crazy because this is the first house they're selling. So
Oh yeah,
I
it's
was like,
true.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's true.
So yeah, man. So it has um a real full circle story, from
Mm-hmm.
somebody telling you what you can't have, and me taking note of that and saying, when I go in that industry, I'm gonna do things differently to actually being the broker that's selling their house and helping them find a house. So they definitely not dealing with a broker that's gonna not tell them what they can't have,
Yeah.
and go the full route. And it just happens to be their son. So um, real cool, real cool. So
I mean,
so with that
especially
being said,
mm-hmm.
go ahead.
Now go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna just say I'm here today because we're having like a little dinner and drinks to kind of celebrate uh last week's here, and brought the podcast stuff, and we still at work. It never stops.
Yeah. I mean, I was just
Yeah,
gonna
so
say, especially like in a market like the one we're in now, I would imagine it can be pretty difficult for people trying to like buy something,
hmm
and when did they bought the house in 2000?
yeah, it's probably 2000, 2001, because I was
Yeah,
going
so
to middle school at
yeah.
that time. Yeah.
So I mean it was probably, I mean, and that was a
So that's
little
probably a little
earlier
bit
before.
younger,
Yeah, that was
because
I
14
was
is freshman, I think. So I was probably like 12, 13 maybe, or
well, it
younger.
was whenever we
Because
were in eighth grade or something like that, or seventh. Well, no, I think eighth grade.
we met in sixth grade,
I
and
know, but then
that's
you left, and when you came back is when y'all moved there.
is it?
Yeah.
I would have to be traveling all the way over from.
I'm
Oh
over here telling
yeah,
you about your
probably.
life.
Yeah, yeah, because I was over there on I think Walnut. I want to say Walnut Village. Yeah, shout out all the old homies over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah, that was probably sixth grade,
Yeah. So
and then we moved probably seven. Yeah, around there.
yeah. So when you came, I remember you came back randomly too. I remember being in school one day and somebody was like, "Yo, you see Dorance is here?"
Yeah,
Like,
I
nah,
think
why
that
would
was.
he be here? Like,
I
you don't go here. Like,
think
no,
that
there
was
you go,
eighth
right
grade.
there. Yeah. So,
I was there set sixth and left seventh, and then came back eighth grade.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, that's dope though. That's dope to kind of have that be just happen that way. Because
yeah.
the first time I remember back in like when we first, well, you got started before me, but around the time that I kind of got into it, I remember they were looking around at some stuff then,
Mm-hmm.
but it was it was getting it was just ridiculous. Like the prices at that time were stupid. Um,
Yeah.
and then for whatever reason, I remember they just ultimately decided against it. But it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting, like that could have been you then too.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that could have been you then, but here we are 20 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still you.
Right.
You
Right. It's like, yep, I'll still be here.
know?
10 years ago, we didn't do it. Yeah, we didn't make that move, but yep, I'm still here.
Yeah. So I mean, so the house
Yeah.
is sold. Is it sold? Like,
You broke up a lot.
is the house
No,
sold?
no,
Okay.
no, not yet. We're no, no, no. It's maybe a few weeks out. A few weeks out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that's dope, man. I mean, it's a seller's market at the moment. So,
Mhm.
that's always good, especially for people who are like retiring or trying to make that retirement move.
Mhm.
Um, they could get into something with a really nice down payment,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. For
know,
sure.
and lower their overhead and just make life much easier.
Yep. Yep. You got it. That's the exact scenario for a lot of my clients that are retiring. They like to put a little bit more down, be more comfortable in their payments, and taking advantage of very low interest rates. Um,
Exactly.
Maybe around like 2.8, around that range. Um, Pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Pretty ridiculous. So, um, yeah, it's a lot of opportunity. If you're a seller in this market, and you've held on to your property for, I don't know, I say, I mean, 3 to 5 years. And I'm
Yeah.
just throwing that out there because I've seen people in some markets buy a house 2 years ago, a year ago, and made equity and made some profit on the sale.
Yeah. We
But
we
if
uh we looked at some homes like where my parents live.
mm-hmm,
Um, they were building like I think it's called Gabion Ranch or something like that. They were building like a community not far from there, and they were starting like in the high 400s.
right,
And this is right before COVID,
mm,
and now those homes are like six something.
yeah, yep, yep,
So
I remember that.
it's
It was
because
time to buy it
I was
in.
trying to get them. Yeah, I was trying to get them in there to do like the same thing. I'm like, listen, if you get an offer at this price, anything above this price, or you get a comp at this price, put the house for sale,
Mm-hmm. You
like
like
right
sell
now.
it,
Yeah,
sell it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I mean, they had a house sale in their neighborhood for like 830,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like,
That's
listen, let it go. Like it doesn't matter.
that is crazy.
And it's hard because they come from a different place. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? The things that they were exposed to, the way they were raised, their understandings of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. You know what I mean? Like they hold on to everything.
Yeah.
Like everything means something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not
It's,
just
it's
a
sentimental value in
yeah,
things.
it's not just a oh, this just makes sense. It's it has to make sense like you said, like emotionally as
Right.
well.
Right.
Um and I'm
I mean,
just
I
like,
mean.
listen, let it go. Like let them take it.
Right. Right.
You want me
I
to
get
help?
it.
I'll
I get
pack.
it. It's funny because somebody asked my dad, so are you sad about the house? He like, what house? He like, um, yeah, I was saying, yeah, somebody asked my dad about if he was sad about selling the house. So yeah, he's definitely emotionally detached
Yeah.
because it just makes sense. And um, they did a lot of work on the house too when they retired, and I think our mom was just ready to go on to something else, something new, you know.
Hmm.
So
I mean, yeah, they've been there for 20,
it's been
21.
it's been 21 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, your mom seemed like that kind of person. Like, she always had to have another car every couple of years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
nope, give me another
Yep,
one.
yep. Like I'm
You
done
know
with
what I
it.
mean? Yeah. So I mean,
A
I
new
feel that though.
car.
I be on that too. Like, why clean my shoes? I just buy more. Like,
Yeah.
like, why fix this car? Just get another one.
That's some
Like,
rich by money quote.
yeah, I guess, man. I understand that. I feel that. Like, I
You're
just
right.
like let's just replace things with new things, and we'll
Like
always feel good about them because they're new.
you treat everything like a pro club. Like, you know what? I ain't wearing this dingy shirt no more.
Yeah, man. So that's good though. I'm happy to see that kind of stuff happening. Like, cause
Yeah, I'm
I
happy
feel
for
like
him.
I feel like that's for a lot of people, especially those who look like us. That's kind of like the missing piece, like of just trying to really like manage the like zone two. Pretty much, they did zone one. They you know they
Right.
they they grew up, they raised a family, they did what they had to do, they moved wherever
Mm-hmm.
they needed to
Right.
give their family the best opportunity to succeed. That's zone
Mm-hmm.
one. I feel like zone two is kind of like, it's on us. It's on the second generation to be like, here's how we take over.
Right. Right. Right.
Here's
Yeah. I mean,
here's how we carry over.
and I have to give them credit for letting me take the reins on those things, because they're just like, okay, well, you do this, son. So we're kind of like, what do we do? Which is which is a huge responsibility, because
Hmm.
I think at some point we have to step in the role of pushing the family legacy forward, right?
Hmm.
But I don't, not on some dumb scheme or like, yeah, I could take this and go do this. It's like, no, like that that wealth is accumulated over years, so you can't just mess it up, you know, on a pipe dream. So it's important to reinvest it into something um, that was successful as the first one, right? In this case, it's going to be real estate again. Um, yeah, so very important. So I have a few clients like that, and I think you just have to take it seriously. Another client has been in their property for 20 years.
Hmm.
That's selling and reinvesting the funds into a larger house and a nicer area, up and coming area. So th- th- like you said, I think that's the piece we missing. We always think about holding on to something forever,
Hmm.
like don't sell grandma's house type. Don't, like, what if I was like, nah, don't sell this house, you got to keep it, in the family. It's like, no, 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 no.
That's dumb as hell.
You,
I'm gonna just say it. Like I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't want to. They. I don't know why they feel like they need
right.
to. I don't know if that's like the qualifying factor of your of retaining your black card or something. But I don't give a shit. Like that's dumb as hell to be
Yeah.
you have that amount of wealth, and I think that comes from just not understanding like the relationship between like wealth and time. Like that's the only way you can get it is
Mm-hmm.
by having something over time. And so, you know, most people think about money in the form of like earnings or
Yeah,
wages.
earned income for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they see it as, well, no, I have this money today because, and they just see it that way. Like, oh, it came today. Like today
Mm-hmm.
I have whatever. It's like, no, this is
Right.
20 years of compounding,
Right.
compounding appreciation, compounding principal reduction, all those
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Yep.
it's just stupid to just go and throw it all away thinking that, you know, you have to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Like, no,
I think that's the philosophy of treating everything like a bag, as they say. It's like, okay, we got the bag. It's like, well,
yeah,
that bag accumulated over 20, 30, 40 years. So
exactly.
you can't just reduce it down to a satchel, or it's like, this is not brown paper bag money. This is generational, money that's been earned over decades.
Hmm.
So to your point, it's not just like earned income. It's different from your paycheck. This is wealth, it's different. It's a whole different line. Um, yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's important to know and respect when
Yeah.
you're out here dealing with that type of responsibility, that
I
type of
mean,
financial responsibility. It's a serious thing.
yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with, with a good client of mine, and just from, I've been communicating with her like back and forth for a couple years, but just in that conversation that we had, she's like, I'm glad I spoke to you because now I understand, what I'm up against in terms of
Mhm.
transferring property. Because, her rents, the same lady I talk about all the time, like her rents are low. Um, and so she has, of course, people taking advantage of her, but she knows like, okay, I'm on the back end of this.
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to get my rents up so that way, my kids don't have to sell.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she's like, because I've been hearing about certain things about these people, because she didn't know anything about um capital gains on that level,
Mhm.
right? And reassessing your property once a person passes to value their estate. She
Right.
didn't really get that. So she's like, well, she still wants to hold on to her property, but she's like, well, I need to get my rents up. So that way my kids don't have to, like, the money they're making from the property will be enough to cover, the new taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't be, but it's something that, you know, you have to kind of you gotta let them learn on their own a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to let them arrive at that point on their own. But it's just interesting though how, like you said, just taking that serious, and once that opportunity kind of just falls in your lap, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and if you just if you treat it without the right amount of like respect, you could really fumble a person's like legacy, you
Right.
know. And yeah, it's I think that's the most important thing. We talked about it a lot on this show, especially when it came to like wages and wealth. Um, but I just think it's super important, because one
Mm-hmm.
conversation I hear about often, you know, on the internet at least, is how people misconstrue the difference between like wages and wealth, and they blame, I don't want to say blame, but there's like a clear misunderstanding of how things work, right? So um given the economic situation today, you know, everything has massive value. And so they try to like tie that into like wages,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Oh well, there's been people who made X amount of dollars in the stock market, but wages haven't gone up, right?
Right.
Or there's
Right.
been people who they've made so much on their home, but wages haven't gone up. And the two like aren't related by any means, but they want to treat them the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So because of how you know equity or wealth can grow exponentially without anybody really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah, I think that's just a bad argument to conflate those together, um, with investments, with earned income. I don't think we have to make the argument that people should be paid a higher wage and conflate it with, well, look how well they're doing on their investments. I think that's when people start closing their ears, because uh, if you want to make that argument, make the argument that people should be paid more, you know,
yeah.
and keep them separately, because I do believe people should be paid more. I think it helps the economy in general to be paid more. If people make more money, they can typically spend more money, right? They can
Mhm.
take care of their families better. They can hire daycare. Um, they can get a better car. They get to work. They can buy real estate. So I mean, it only improves the economy. And the reality is that people who are in those situations, who just need more money to eat or
Yeah.
have the simple things of life, um, because they're so tight, they're bound to be spent anyway, the extra money anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we would hope for people to keep some money and invest it and do those things, but um, at that point, I think the most important thing is to, if people made more money and was able to buy a house. And I hate to say that, because I'm in industry, like, yeah, I think people should buy more houses, we get paid more money. But I think that's the surefire, dumb way to get rich, or to accumulate some type of wealth. Not so much get rich, but accumulate some type of wealth.
I
And
mean,
that's by paying
technically
down your mortgage and earning equity.
you would see. This is why this is why it's important. Why we always try to stress like the long term stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like the long game. Because okay, say you make 70 grand a year, and then you buy a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 20 years later, your house sells for like 1.5 million, and it's paid off. Are you not
Mm-hmm.
rich now?
You talking about just an equity?
No, I mean when you sell it. Like if you sell a home for 1.5 million after 20 or 30, I wouldn't say 1.5 million. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say you pay like 200 grand for the home. Now it's worth like 8. And you go and
Mm-hmm.
sell it. You've been there long enough to where you can take the money tax free. And so now you get dumped with $500,000-600,000 in your lap.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Are you not rich at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, you
Like,
can you could yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
I get what you're
to
saying.
think,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so to think like, oh well, I can't, only the people who exist on a certain level can have access to that. Like, no, it's just people cannot see beyond tomorrow.
Yeah.
They just can't. And then
Yeah.
they try to blame it on the people who do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's so many, like, I hate to keep saying this, but there's so many people like involved politically who allow them to do that to get votes. They'll allow them to kind of conflate the two to gain support. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they'll, you'll see certain congressmen and certain officials frontlining for certain financial things, or
Mm-hmm.
eating the rich or taxing the rich because they made an extra 1 point whatever $billion during the pandemic. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because they own something. Like, you can go own something too. You can buy one stock today. In 20 years from now, it goes up 100%. And the person who didn't is 100% less rich than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, should they have
Yeah.
access to what you have because you did that?
Who's that coming from though? I have to be careful with the voices that kind of filter to the top, because I think there's a crazy left wing and a crazy right wing, and I
Well,
think sometimes
there's a crazy all of
those
them that you just said, even the
yeah
first one that was on accident. But
yeah the crazy left wing, crazy right wing, and I think sometimes those opinions or those headlines kind of get to the top, and I don't know if the majority of people feel that way.
all you got to do
Uh,
is recomment. Like, and this is the internet. It's not really talk. I think when you talk to most people in person, you have a real conversation. That type of stuff doesn't really, like, it doesn't hold up,
mm-hmm.
right? Because on the internet, I can drop my thoughts and leave it at that. You know,
Right.
in person, those kind of conversations, I don't think they really hold up. So I don't think you would even have someone trying to make that kind of a point if you
Mm-hmm.
were talking to them in person.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I agree. Yeah, people talk differently than from when they're on the internet for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But also some talking points just come. You can tell they come directly from the internet. And it's like, how do you even believe that? And your whole life is different. It's like, how can you have that opinion and you're doing exactly what you don't like? Like take for like people who are really against. Um, let's just keep it to just housing. Some people believe that the housing should just be, government ran.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how can I believe that from you where you're a homeowner?
No, 100%.
You
Yes.
know, you're an
Like,
investment owner. You know,
like,
you run a business. You know that benefits from certain things. This capitalist structure. So I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I just think that some people have an online personality of opinions and an offline personality of opinions, and that's not cool.
I would agree though, because sometimes, like, what I noticed is, in turn, and I know it's engagement is part of, like, the process of being online, but you'll see certain, like, popular people in the comments of, different like other popular, pages. You'll
Right.
see them in the comments kind of sharing their thoughts and posting things. And I'll be looking through it and I'm like, do y'all really, there has to be a reason why you can sit here and explain yourself to someone you don't know, beyond
Right.
like beyond like, I enjoy this, because
Right.
I don't enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
um Not because, like, it's not fun, it's just
Wait,
I don't
which
we don't
part?
just like the engagement with random people,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
right? Like, oh, let me, like, the shade room will post something, oh, let me go in the comments and talk to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
let me at somebody and tell them how I feel and how it's different from how they
Yeah.
feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't see so that there has to be a reason that I'm unaware of why
To
people
do
do
that,
that. Yeah.
I don't know. Do we have are people in the comments or on the internet? Are they just different people? Like the super opinionated that actually need to hear their voice heard or read. You know, because
Hmm.
I can just be okay with not ever commenting on anything,
That's what I'm saying.
and it doesn't affect me. But some people, it burns inside to hold that in. And then I think from a marketing perspective, I think people comment on these pages that have a high following so they can be seen too, and hopefully it can bring eyeballs to their account. So I think it's part of that, and I don't know what percentage that looks like, how many people doing that, but I think some people, just everyday regular people who probably can't have an opinion in their daily lives, or it's not valued. But once you go on the internet and you put in a comment, it's like you're kind of like on a even level in some aspects. Well, you're in an even level, period.
Yeah.
Whoever's in that comment is like the same.
Yeah. But that's how life is. I mean, I feel like I feel like in real life that's how things are. Like you can have your opinions. You can have your voice be heard in person. But I'm just like, at what point does in person not become a thing? And
I
it's
don't even
only
think it's
about
just
because where else would you have these arguments? Who would I argue with about how I feel about something at 8:30 and who would I argue with? Like if I go to Starbucks and if
right,
I, if I wake up and go to the office or go do whatever I got to do, right? So I'm
right.
waking up. If I got to go to the gas station, I get gas. If I go to Starbucks, I go to Starbucks, and then I go to work, right? And after
Mm,
work, I come home. Where in that time frame of the 18 hours throughout the day that I was moving around did I find someone to argue about
right. Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. So
You know
it's
what I'm
like
saying? So
if I'm in an angry, if I'm in an arguing mood, where can I find a fight?
yeah,
Online, in
and
the
so it's
palm of
like,
my
so
hand.
are you looking for that? Are you scouring the net looking for, hey, listen to me, I'm correct?
I don't think um, maybe intentionally for most people, but subconsciously maybe. He's like, you know what? Someone's gonna get these words. And random internet person, oh, you run a podcast. Okay, all right, Rich by Monday. I disagree.
and it'd
I've
be
been
it'd be
waiting on
like
this.
it'd be like, all right.
Right. I mean, I appreciate discourse. I think it helps. Um, I've never been a person to be like, no, I'm right and you're wrong forever, and that's just how it is. So I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind, but I know a lot of people who can't take um, any type of criticism at all.
Mhm.
It's just not going down. Um, and maybe that's why we can't have conversations
But
about
that, but
anything.
that's the thing though. Is it real criticism or real like critique if it
Mm,
if you can block or mute it? Because you'll never be
mm,
wrong. Like if you post something and someone comes and says, hey, you might want to chill on that, you can just block them and mute it and be like, oh, everybody's y'all just
right,
hating. Like, but in real life,
right,
that's
yeah,
still a thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if you using like if you drunk driving on Instagram and somebody's like, hey man, you need to relax because this is everyone can see
right,
this, and then you block them, like you're still drunk driving.
right, right.
That doesn't
Well,
make it right.
I mean, people got a cold block button in real life where they just whatever you say to them, it's not getting through. I don't care how you set it up, any type of graphs or diagrams you show of research, it's just never
Mm-hmm.
getting through. So I mean, people block you in person. So I mean, that's just the same. It's like I'm not listening to none of that. I don't believe nothing you said.
I
Like I
mean,
ain't going over there no more.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, that does happen because I do that. But that definitely that, happens. I definitely get that. I mean, I don't know, man. I think I understand it, but like even because like I don't know if you heard, but Diddy recently came out, made a video where he said Richard Mill watches are ugly, they
uh,
suck.
right.
They're being black folks are being targeted.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this is the most out of touch thing I've ever heard in my life, right?
Yeah,
But
for
he
sure.
said black folks are being targeted. This the new Timex or whatever. Like this is a scam. Black people don't buy Richard Mills, buy a house. Okay, so
After
here's why I
20
say
years of shiny suits,
exactly.
now he gonna come in with
Um,
with the pristine financial advice for Black America.
yeah. Um, it's out of touch because, like, do you know on average how much a RM costs?
No. How much is it?
Okay, so I'll just say this: the fact that he said buy a house instead lets you know how much it costs.
What is it? Hundreds of thousands?
Yes,
Okay.
depending because their whole thing is they're made of
So how
you
much
know,
is the average cost? What's the average cost?
I don't really know all the models because they all look the same. They all look
Just a
like
range.
McDonald's toy watches, right? So it's all like it'd be like the RM57, the RM037, but they all kind of have the same shape. They'll have different complications, of course. Um,
What's
but
the range
usually
though?
I would say anywhere from like 150,000 on the low end, up to millions of dollars,
Yeah,
right?
okay. That's a huge range.
But every watch is supposed to be exclusive. Okay.
Right.
So so what they do is, and the funny thing about this is that all the watches are sitting with dealers.
Mm-hmm.
All the dealers have all the limited pieces.
He's holding on to them.
So who buying them?
You said who will?
Who no, I'm just saying who is buying them? If every dealer you see has like the
Mm-hmm.
limited piece. Oh, this is like 1 in 3, and there's 10 of them. There's 10 different watches that are like 1 in 3, and
So
all
so
dealers
is
have
he
them.
talking to like the 1% of all black people who can afford something like
He's
that
not
and
talking to black.
telling them to
He
buy a
might
house?
be talking to rappers and entertainers who who
Right.
do that. But there's
So
no
that's a point
average.
zero 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 1% of people.
Yes, of all people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to have a $500,000 Richard Mille on your wrist. Like
Entertainment
nobody.
industry is a bubble. That's a real bubble to even say that out loud and go in a public space and even say something that doesn't even relate to anyone at that point. That doesn't relate to anyone.
No, well, because the reason why, like,
You should have just called the people you wanted to tell that on the phone and told them directly. Like, hey
it's
man, don't
funny
buy
because
this.
one of the comments said that, but
What?
it
Oh,
said
call.
he should have just called his friend and told him not to buy it.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I mean, because
Right.
it's pop culture, so people are gonna buy what other people want. I don't think they necessarily
Right.
like people wearing Balenciaga shoes. They look like what was them shoes Anthony used to wear? That the jump soles. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
so
They look
people just buy
like
what they
squished marshmallows
yeah.
with with laces, like laced up marshmallows.
um and they've been around, like RM has been around for a while. I'm just particularly not a fan of the brand, not because I can't afford it, but I just don't really care for the brand. But to have him come out and say, don't do this, buy a house instead, that's dumb. Like that's crazy because the person who's buying a house isn't thinking about getting a loan
It's like,
for.
should I get a Richard Mille or should I buy this house for my family?
But you know what though? Now I'm thinking about it. There's an interview with I think it was Yo Gotti and one of his artists, and and they were talking about watches or something because I think Yo
Mm-hmm.
Gotti has some property or whatever. So they were asking him about property because he has all the RM watches and all that. And his artist that was with him, they asked him like, you got the Richard Mille loan or whatever. Do you own any property? And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, no, this is an investment too. And he was
Okay.
like, well, how much? Oh no, he didn't have an RM on, but he had a bust down like Patek or something. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's not worth half what
Yeah.
he paid.
Right.
But so he had a buzz down Patek, and they were like, is that an investment? He's like, oh, what? This cost me like 60 grand or something,
Mm-hmm.
or 100,000. So yeah, a house where I live is 50,000. You know, so he's like, it's the same. Um,
Cringe.
and so
Cringe.
I think Yo Gotti had like a Bubba Watson on, which is a famous Richard Mille model, and I think those go for over two something, like close to 300 grand. So they start
Mm-hmm.
talking about it that way, like yeah, I bought this watch for 180,000, now it's worth 340, or I paid 300 for this one, now it's worth 7, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, man. I mean, well, one, it was completely out of touch, like we just said, because those people aren't making that decision. But then to say black folks are being targeted, like, or he said something along those lines, like, I don't know. I'm like, man, are you serious? Like, if anybody's targeting them, it's you.
Right, right.
You know, like,
Yeah,
so I don't know, man. It's
that doesn't even. Yeah,
so buy a house.
these are your leaders.
Yeah, buy a house instead of buying a Richard Mill. I wouldn't even say buy a house. I would say he could have said like buy a triplex.
Everybody in the comments like, duh.
Why do you think like people only when you talk about real estate, people automatically go to a house?
It's the most relatable thing. I think they look to the right and look to the left and see who purchased houses, and they'll usually do that. I think because maybe their mother bought a house, their cousin, auntie, uncle, sister, brother. So I think it's more relatable. Um, if those same people bought duplexes, triplexes,
Mm-hmm.
4 units, five, multifamily, retail strips, industrial, it would be the same. It would be normal. I'm sure there's a family that owns that type of real estate, and it's normal for them.
Yeah.
And they look at their friends like, I mean, why are you not buying industrial? And they're like, what are you talking about? It's like, we've been doing it for 20, 30 years. Why are you not doing that? So I think it's just proximity of
Mm-hmm.
seeing people buy those type of products. The same for cars. I think buying a car is so familiar that everyone's like, oh, okay. You always see somebody that buys a car growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first thing you want to do. When I get enough money, I'm gonna buy a car.
Yeah, that was one of the dumbest things I ever did.
Mm,
That I
yeah,
did happily. Like I did that happily
yeah.
too, which is sad. But that was one of like the crazy, just going like just okay, cool. I'm gonna walk on the dealership lot and finance a car. Like that was.
Yeah, I know you love leasing cars now.
It's not even that. It's just that's not how you buy a car. You don't just walk on a lot and say, "All right, what you got?" Like those are the people who knock you over the head. That's how they catch you.
Yeah.
Because you didn't set an appointment, you didn't talk to nobody. Like it's
Well,
just
most people are not buying it as an investment. It's
not even that though. But it's I don't even I don't know.
when
I
people
just
want to
I
buy a house, the typical person who wants to buy a house, hold on, have ice all on the mic. The typical person
ice
who
on the
wants
mic.
who buys a
Whoa.
house or buys a you're a child. the,
Oh
the the
man.
the typical person who buys a car is buying it out of need. Either a car just broke down. That's mostly what it is. The car broke down. They don't have the cash to repair it, and they need a car immediately to go back and forth to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the most. Right? And when you're in that dire need of buying something, needing to buy something, there's not a whole lot of research and um, negotiation that goes on within
No, I
that.
get that.
And some
I
people
don't
don't
I don't
know. Some people don't know how to negotiate, and then some people's credit aren't it just isn't right, so they're kind of going in there hoping that they could qualify sometimes.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it's kind of like they'll just sometimes they just accept whatever they get, um, because no one talks about when you have a new car, like, hey, yeah, what type of interest rate you get? It's like, man, they just gave it to me and I rolled off. You know,
Mm-hmm. No, I mean I,
no
I,
one
I
knows the
understand that.
double digit interest rate.
I understand that completely. It's just a
And
matter of like,
they're cold too, because people who sell cars, the salesperson, if you go in, they're going to ask you, how much can you pay a month? And that's like irrelevant to the deal. That's like the most irrelevant part of the deal. Um, because in the math can work out to where you can make it any amount a month, right? So if you go in and say, I want to pay $400 a month, that's where you cut yourself off the leg. They're like, oh, okay. we can make the math work out. We can stretch out the term, instead of getting, 5-year term, we might stretch it out to 7.
Mm-hmm.
If you put down more money, we can make that happen. So it's the math can math. If you go in there and say, I want I want a car for $400
Yeah,
a
but
month
that's
or whatever
that's
it
what
is.
they do. That's how they.
Yeah, that's how
That's
they
the
trick you.
setup. Yeah, that's
They
the
trick you with
setup.
like,
You walk on the lot and they ask you what you're doing or what you're looking for, how they can help you. They ask, do
mm-hmm,
you currently have a car? If you do have a car, are you looking to trade it in?
right.
How much are you comfortable paying a month? And then
Yep.
let me go talk to my finance manager.
Right. Yeah.
And they'll go in the back and laugh about it. And then they'll come back
Yeah.
and say, all right, yeah, I can do this. And
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
that's just what they do.
Yep. And then you're
That's just
like,
what they
oh,
do.
okay. Hopefully it can. Hopefully they approve me. Yeah. So
I don't negate. I know people need things for different reasons. It's just I feel like once you go through something and you see like how one-sided it was, like that's how I felt. Like when I bought my car, when I went and financed my first car, as soon as I left, like it just felt bad. It didn't even feel good,
mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah, you
then,
like, all right.
because I know I'm losing. I'm on the losing end of this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I needed something. I went and got it because I needed it, but I'm losing. So how can I lose? How am I losing when I got something I needed?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
You know what? It's hard to factor in the use of said
yeah,
thing that you
like
get.
I was used. I was taken advantage of. Like
No, I'm saying
it's
the use of it. It's like, um, let's say you bought a house and you put so much down. It's like you immediately think, well, I get to move in the house, I get to live in the house.
mm-hmm.
But with a car, another purchase, like, I don't live in this car. It does get me back and forth to a place I don't really want to go, which is work, you know. So it's like you just
Yeah.
feel like it just feels like a cost.
Well, I mean that's what it is.
It's like no
Because
one's doing anything fun in their car. You're like,
if you
all I get to do is drive, huh?
chances are if you went and bought a car, you bought it out of, like you said, out of necessity, but you're probably trying to go get something that you can kind of play up, right? That you can present as something more than what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see like out here I see a lot of Maseratis, and Maserati is the most like useless brand of cars ever. But
Yeah.
I see a lot of them, and it's like I know that you wouldn't bought that just because of the name.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's other cars in that same price range that are way better cars, that wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
fall apart on you. But
Yeah.
people buy it knowing it'll fall apart because of the name, right?
Yeah. The value drops a ridiculous amount. And even though now you're in a car that used to be 100,000 and you bought it for, I don't know, 20, 40 or 30, 40,000, um, you still can easily have, a $10,000 bill or something goes wrong.
Yeah, it's just
Uh,
stupid. It's dumb as hell. But
yeah.
that's so I'm just saying, like, I feel like once you go through it, it's hard for me, at least. It's hard for me to go through something twice. So I
Yeah.
went through that once. It's like, okay, I'm losing here. Like, and I'm an obvious loser. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they gave me a car and I got to pay them for the next 4 years. That's a
Mm-hmm.
loss. Like, wait a minute. How many other cars you have? Like, okay, so how many other people are paying? Like, no, there has to be a better way
No,
to,
there
you know what
there
I'm
isn't
saying?
though,
There
because most
has
people
to
don't
be.
have, you know, a bulk of money in their bank to buy a purchase outright. And with that being said, most people don't have uh, the funds to pay for a repair, a high repair, right? So, which I think why most people buy cars. If something happens, it's 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. The money's not there to fix it.
No, but
Now,
okay.
when you driving through
I
neighborhoods and you see cars just broke like on the road and they dusty and cobwebs, it's not because they got tired of driving that car, because they can't fix it anymore. They can't afford to fix it.
I understand that. I understand that. What I'm
So they're
saying
like,
is
I'd rather pay $200 a month and just get in
you
a car
can
that moves.
you can do that in a brand new car that is a lease. brand new. If every 3 or 4 years I gotta go buy a new busted car, right? So I gotta save $3,000 to go to some auction lot or go to some junkyard or find somebody's homie that I could go buy a car from, drive it from 3 years, probably rebuild the transmission in that process, right? Change the brakes, the whole nine, only to go and buy another version of that down the line where I can go and, like, for the same amount of money, I can get a 1-pay lease for like $198 a month. Like, just I can put $3,000 down, and that's the lease. That's it. I don't have no payments. I drive this car for 3 years.
That also has to be on approved credit.
Of course, but if you can get somebody to co-sign for you on some bum ass, Toyota Corolla from '89, or you know what I mean, or
Co-sign on it.
like you know what I'm saying, like a '98 Accord or something off some random lot, like you need a co-sign or your rate's going to be 28.
You just out of touch, because
I'm
a
not out of touch.
$3,000 car, a $3,000 car is a car people can dip around for 2 years. Change the brakes a few times, put on some new tires.
Why?
Not even new tires. You gotta get the $20 tires from the homie.
I'm not
it
saying
may be it's not all the way bald, it's just a little bald. It got a little tread. Look, it's got some tread on it though. And that tire gonna cost you about $20-$30.
It's little,
and they gonna put it on. It got a little meat on it. Sometimes they give you the one that did this real 2-ball. You're like, nah, man, give me another one. Give me another one.
I don't. It's hard. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to understand. Like, if I'm gonna spend the same amount of money, if the car costs me $3,000, I'm gonna spend another $2,000 to $3,000 just in maintenance. That's $6,000 right there. Like, I could have spent this. I could have got 2 new cars twice over the span of 6 years for that same amount of money.
Yeah, but
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not wrong. It's
you're
just
considering a 3-year lease and that ends, and then you still have to get another car. For someone who wants to buy it,
you can buy the car at the end of your lease.
But you'd be carless though.
No, so you won't. You can buy the car you're in, which is probably what I'm gonna do. The car that we have now.
So you still have a payment. What I'm saying is, someone who wants to buy something and not have any payments, they don't have any more payments after that first down payment.
Why does that matter?
The car is paid for.
No. See, you're missing the point. Okay, you own a car, you still have to pay for it. It might not seem
you're
like
talking about
in maintenance. It might not seem like much because the maintenance might be far and few between.
I don't think that's equivalent at all, though.
It is equivalent when you factor in how much it costs. If your timing belt goes out and you have to spend $1,800 on it, and then 3 or 4 months down the road you got to pay for everything else you got to pay for.
But see, now you're making up things. I'm not making up.
It's happened to me. It's happened to me. Okay, I'm telling you, these are real experiences.
You have one experience, your lonely experience.
Okay,
you're gonna blanket across everyone's car that they paid off.
No. I'm just saying it
because
happens.
There are scenarios. There are scenarios where people pay a certain amount for a car. Let's say they pay $7,000 for a car, $10,000 for a car, and it can be like a Toyota Sequoia or something. And that car will run. It will run with virtually no issues as long as I don't have no
problem with that.
The only maintenance is going to be something like that is oil change and new tires.
And that's what you think.
So you're making the equivalent of, okay, someone goes out and pays $7,000 on a car, and you're saying, well, what if this happens? What if sometimes it doesn't happen. You're talking about maintenance that might be $1,000 a year. I mean,
that's
2,000.
No. You can't drive. You can't be driving a 20-year-old, 30-year-old car and just think this is just gonna run if I don't do nothing to it.
But you also saying that if you have a 20-year-old car, that these things will happen to it.
They will eventually. Yes, you're gonna have to replace things. The car is old.
Yeah, you will. But I don't think it's going to be equivalent to someone who's paying $300 a month for, let's say, the life of a loan. Let's say it's 5 years. For 5 years, and let's say the car you just said you're gonna pay, you're gonna buy. So you saying that car will never have any issues that you have to pay for?
Yes, it will. But I'm not paying more for them. The depreciation that I've already lost, like I could sell the car now and make money on it. So the depreciation, I'm
Yeah,
10,000 under list when I bought it.
used cars is up right now.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm 10,000 under invoice from the time that I bought it, so I'm 10,000 below, and that only cost me $6,000. So $6,000 for 2 years, and then when my 2 years is up, I can buy the car for whatever the residual is, right? And my payment would probably still be the same. If I wanted to do that, my payment would probably be the same, and it saved me probably another $15,000 in interest and principal.
So your scenario is easily blanketed across everyone else's scenario. Your
It can be,
exact
yes.
scenario.
It can be.
That's just not how it works.
I didn't say it does. I said I'm saying it can be. I'm not saying these things are. This is how you should do it. I don't have the answers. I'm not telling you to do it this way. I'm just saying to just walk in a dealer and be like, oh, I'm going to get a deal because I'm financing the car, whatever they tell you the monthly payment is. That doesn't matter if I'm paying $80,000 for a $50,000 car. That to me, that doesn't make sense. Whereas I can finance the depreciation up front and then buy it if I want to. To me, that makes more sense. I'm not saying it's the right way, and everybody's situation is different. Right. I just know that you can do that. And if that option is available, I would do that. Instead of going to buy especially on the cheaper end, if I'm going to get a car that I just need to get around or buy a car for like my child, why would I go spend like $2-3 grand on a little beater when that $2-3 grand gets you a brand new car? Like,
right. I hear what you're saying, but some people just prefer to have something that's paid off so they don't have to keep
like
paying into it.
I understand that, but that's like saying don't sell your grandma's house. To me, those two are the same. Like if a car payment is the one thing, if the car payment is the one thing that's gonna hold you back from making a smarter decision, then that's the same as I'm not gonna sell this house. To me, that's the same thing. Because you're foregoing a smarter decision for however you feel about whatever you feel about. Like it's the same thing because you're still paying more. You're still paying more for the car instead of what it's worth.
Right. I mean, I don't agree with your opinion, but I understand what you're saying. Because I'm able to kind of take in different scenarios that work for different people, and it's those different scenarios are not going to be better than the decision you made for yourself. It's not going to ever make sense because the decision you made for yourself was calculated in a way that it works for you. And I'm saying is that scenario can't be blanketed across other scenarios. Because some people only just have 3,000. They don't have a month.
That's what I'm saying.
Or they just have $7,000.
I'm telling you that as somebody who's done that. I'm telling you as somebody who's done that. I had the money. I used it. I used that money to put on the car that I financed. I could have used that money to just buy the car and pay the lease off.
Right. I hear what you're saying.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying there's a better option.
The only thing is your point is very personal to you. Because you say,
it's my point.
I could have. And I'm like, well, there's several people who have different scenarios. Because it's easily people can say, I have $10,000. Let's say they have $7,000 and $3,000 in the bank. And they say, I'm gonna take my chance and buy this property, or buy this car for $7,000. That is probably a very reliable car, usually Toyota or Honda, and I'll have an additional $3,000 in the bank to make any repairs it might come up, or have some type of fund for repairs that come up. That scenario is different because you might be able to go 3 months without any issues, right? Whatever your payment is, 3 times 4, $1,200 is going to be in the bank. You might have, 6 months, something come up. There's going to be $100, $200. Let's just take $500. But over the life of it, they're usually going to be cheaper, unless they decide, I need a new paint.
It's actually not cheaper, but I'll let you.
And in a lot of cases, it is.
It's not. It can't be cheaper. It can't be cheaper if I'm financing the same money you just spent right now, right? You just said I got $7,000. I'm going to buy a car. You go buy the car. You trade them your $7,000. That means if anything else happens to that car, there's new money coming into play. If I go and use that same $7,000 and pay off the use of the car, there's no more new money coming out of my pocket to take care of it outside of gas and very basic repairs.
Mm-hmm.
But that $7,000 buys me years, not just today. And then, if my wheel axle falls off tomorrow, I got to use the $3,000 that's in my bank account to cover it.
So you're saying if you buy a car that's still under warranty and they cover it? I'm
saying you can do that. You can do that instead of going to buy a car
I'll give you a
that's
personal
not under
scenario.
warranty.
I bought a car I paid $5,000 for it, and I owned it for maybe 3 years, and maybe had maybe 2,000 to 3,000 in repairs over its time.
Mm-hmm.
This is repairs is not covered over in insurance. This is not counting tires, because even in a car you drive, you still have to buy tires.
Period. Yeah.
And that car potentially could have ran forever, but I still didn't have a monthly payment. So
I understand that. I'm not. We arguing something. You letting the monthly payment hang up the argument. Is not about the payment. I'm saying the money you spend in total.
It's a true thing, though.
No,
because
the money I'm talking about, the money you spend as a whole, bro. Like if you spent $8,000 and if we had $8,000 and we spent it the same way, I'm saying it would go farther one way. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't matter what the payment is.
I understand what you're saying. You have it on an Excel sheet. You saying through the life of owning this car, how much did I spend on it, and did I fare out better than if I would have bought something used?
Yes.
And I'm saying a real scenario, someone who do not have $400 a month to put towards a car consistently is in a different situation.
It doesn't have to be $400 though. Like it doesn't have to be
$200, $200, $150, $100.
Okay, so
let's say it's $100.
In that, okay, but wait, in that sense,
I'm saying
in that sense though,
some people don't have the money
if you
to pay a consistent amount of money over a long period of time. Don't make the monthly payment.
I'm telling you, the same amount of money can pay off your lease. It's called a one-pay lease.
Okay,
you can walk in and just pay the lease like that. And you get a discount because you're paying it today, no tax. So I'm just saying it's an option. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do.
I mean, I hear you.
It's just an option if you're someone who needs a car, a reliable one. Instead of you going to Joe Schmo's lot where they buy here, pay here, and buying a 20-year-old car or a 15-year-old car for $4,000 to $6,000, you can take that same amount of money because you're probably going to try to trick your cousin or your uncle or your daddy or your mama to co-sign for you at that lot, right? Because that's what they're going to want you to do. So instead of doing that, you can take that same money and go get a one-pay lease, and you won't have no payments. But you're spending the same amount of money. That's all I'm saying. So if I'm looking at terms of reliability, I understand going to buy an older car and it just runs. I get that. What I'm saying is if you have a choice to have a newer car that hasn't had any type of repairs or any type of issues prior to you owning it, I feel like that's a better choice.
Yeah. You also not
for the same amount of money.
Okay, how long does the pay for lease last? How many years does that last?
It lasts the life of your lease.
So 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so that person after that 3 years
depends on your lease. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever the lease is.
So after that 3 years, do you have a payment?
If you choose to buy the car, yeah.
Okay. So for that person in that scenario who said, okay, I have X amount of money to put up on this car, I'm gonna do this paid lease for 3 years. After 3 years, they have to what?
What would they have to do after 3 years buying a 20-year-old car?
Like go find a payment.
It's the same.
They gotta go
thing.
Find an additional payment.
What would happen in 3 years when your transmission? What would happen when your transmission blow up? That's why people be having like 5 cars, bro. They be living with their parents and got 4 cars. They be parked on the grass and shit. That's why they do that. That's why it happens. All I'm saying is you can avoid all of that without buying a little beater.
If you had one car, sell the other 4 and put it into one car.
Nah, because they got to go buy another one because they working on that one. You know how it goes. Like, here's my little project.
Well,
I get
the
Corolla back.
That's my point. That people have different scenarios.
Wait till I get the roller back. You know what I'm saying?
it just need a tire. You're like, a tire been here for 2 years.
You need a little paint.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of that. I don't know. I mean,
I'm not
that's
saying there's a right and wrong because again, everybody's situation is different and people's commute is different. I'm just saying,
right.
in my opinion, if for most people, I feel like instead of trading that money in for something that puts them they could be in a better position. That's all I'm saying. You could be in a better
for
position.
some people's scenario, it could work. I agree with that.
It does work.
For some people's scenario, buying a car cash, a reliable car cash without any payments also works.
Yeah, I get that.
So we spent
I get that.
minutes. How many minutes on saying, people have different scenarios that work for different people.
It's our show. It don't matter.
Based on your personal wants and needs.
It just makes sense. I don't care to own things that aren't worth anything. So I mean, and I have enough of those. Right. Like I have enough things that I can't even, if I want to sell it, I'd have to pay somebody to take it from me. Like I have enough of those. So, and I feel the same way about cars. Like unless it's a very specific type of vehicle, like I just don't care to own it. Like it's like for what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I can spend the same money. Like the 80 grand you're gonna spend on a new car, I could have like 6 cars in the same time frame. Like 6 of them. Like that's crazy to me. Like I could drive 6 new cars.
Some people have different goals.
I don't think that's a goal. It's just like I can have 6 of these. I can have 6.
Now you the guy with 6 cars in his driveway.
I'm just saying over time.
Them 5 batteries dead, but
over time, you go to the dealer and they give you a 7-year loan. That's what they're going to do. They're going to give you 84 months. So they give you a 7-year loan. So if I have a 2-year lease, I can have 3.5 cars in that same time frame for probably way less money. Because you're paying the same amount, right? The car costs you 40, you'll probably end up paying close to 60 with interest. So $60,000 over 7 years. That's what the car is costing for ownership.
You have to get 5 cars though, because your lease is gonna be up.
Yeah, but why do I care to own it? Why do I care? It's the same thing. It's the same thing as you have $500,000 or $1 million in equity in your home and you want to keep it and not reinvest it because you think it'll just keep whatever you're getting from it, you think you'll keep getting it. It's the same thing. Why do I want to own the car when it's fully depreciated?
Right.
Unless I have a specific use. Like if I have a specific use for it, like, you know, I want to go off-roading. Okay, then I got an off-road car. Right. If I want to drive my car on the water and I need a car boat, then I go buy a car boat. But like if it's just like I need a car,
that would be fly.
If it's like I just need a car,
you just drive it to the lake, throw your pole in the water.
Like what's the difference between a 98 Accord and a 2028 Accord? Like what's the difference? They make one every year. It's not like there's no value.
Yeah.
Like why hold on to something that's just not valuable? I don't know. Because then when it falls apart, you're gonna be like, man, I knew I should have got rid of this.
You just don't know anybody's use case.
I think I've said it. I think I've said it plenty of times. Like there's a lot of people own cars. I'm just saying a lot of those people who own cars want newer cars. So I'm saying that you can get newer cars for the same amount of money. That's all.
Right.
That's it. You can get, instead of going to buy a car because you think this is all you can get a much better one, you know, and save your money because you don't have a payment for 3 years, 4 years. On
approved credit.
With the cosigner you was going to use at Joe's lot, yes.
Yeah, so all you got to do is go to the website, richbymonday.com/car lease, and we'll have a list of deals for you.
I don't know, man. I just don't. There's certain things I don't understand. That's one of them. I just don't understand.
Monday/car.
I don't understand it. Unless like I understand it for other people. I just don't understand it for me.
Right. But, we got that. I said that long time ago.
But still, that doesn't mean it's not smart. That doesn't mean it's not smart if it's the same amount of money.
I don't understand why people buy white shoes. I don't get it. They just get dirty anyway. He's like, sir, I would like to wear the white shoes and please get out of my way. I just don't get it. I would never wear them white shoes.
See, you have a very specific way of wording things that turns me up. That's what this is about, right? Because you be like, I respect your opinion, but I know what that means, right? I know what that means. Like, so all I'm saying, that make me go harder because now I'm trying to have a reasonable conversation, and you basically saying, yeah, whatever. So I understand, like, that's what drives me to that point.
Why are people? I don't know why I give off that. I really do
Because
respect
I
people's
know
opinions.
it might not come from somebody else, but I know you. Okay.
I respect everyone's opinion and the way they think, they like to do things.
Especially when you had to drink, you was like, I respect your opinion.
Right, I'm out of drink too.
I know what that means, man.
Man, I just look. People do things different ways.
Yes,
Jack, and that's just how it is, brother.
I mean, we do things differently than a lot.
Well,
of people,
I think that's why the podcast works, because they're like, it's not a situation where it's just like, yep, I agree. Let's move on. Next topic. I'm like, well, my philosophy is completely different.
Yeah, man.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that,
To me, that's the only way you can, like. I mean, I think people can be friends if they agree on like principles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for people who have like really true friendships, it comes from being able to like not be the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We might agree on certain things, we might have shared characteristics, but I think having the discourse and being able to be like, man, whatever, shut up, blah blah blah. I feel like that's the only way you can grow together.
Yeah, or just give space for people to be them. Yeah. Like at no point am I trying to make a point or argue a point for them to be like me. That's different. Like, or I'm not even arguing for people to understand. I really, in my soul, I don't care. But
see, I got you to say it. I just told you. I told you that's what it was. I knew
it. Because at a certain point, you're gonna do things the way you do them anyway, right? And it's the other way too. It's like, well, people believe that they're gonna do things the way they do things. I'm gonna do things the way I do things. But it's still an opportunity to be like, that does seem interesting. I understand what you're saying. It makes perfectly good sense in some ways, but it's like, and then you go on and do what you're gonna do anyway. But every now and then you'll have a situation where, you might have a breakthrough and say, you know what? I am going to use that philosophy in my life. I'll try it out. I'm going to adapt it and see how it works. And then if it works, you keep that. And that's what being a human is all about, folks. So you grab things that work for you. You try them out. If they work for you in your life, you take them on, be better. If they don't, you throw them away and try new things. You try again. And that's what it's all about.
I mean,
we just teach it here at Rich by Monday.
There's no rules. We might speak as if they're rules, but there's no rules. Like, and right. So when you hear all this stuff, I hear stuff all the time. Actually, me and Sean was talking about this the other day. Mm-hmm. Like, because a big thing right now that's being spread is or it's a point that's always argued, is that a man should pay for everything. And I actually saw you post that on your story from Kevin Samuels.
Hold on, let's I asked the thoughts on it. I did not say either way what should be what. Gonna have you.
Dorance said you was a bum if your lady paying bills.
I did. I didn't even give my opinion at that point. I even typed something out, and then I probably forgot or decided not to. But I asked the question. He was basically saying, and people hate Kevin. They really hate him. He was basically asking if, I guess he was saying that man should pay for everything, right? But and I just said thoughts on it just to get people's opinion. I didn't give my actual opinion. but I do believe in some cases, um, when a man is or a mate is not just um, when a mate is providing, it does put I think it does put a woman in their feminine where they can just relax and be and not take on a masculine role sometimes.
I mean,
I
is
do believe
is
that's true.
is that limited? Now, I just want to ask this, right? Is that limited to like financials?
Um, what
Is
what
like
what part?
is the word I'm asking, because this is a question that happens all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does can can a man, like the way you said, provide, right? So if a man is providing, so if is providing limited to like financials?
Um, I don't think so. I think being available for your partner encompasses a lot. I think finance is probably just one of them. To answer your question,
Mm-hmm.
um, but from I think just from a pure dating stance, which is another reason why I didn't give my opinion because, uh, I've been with Jazz for so long that it's just different, right? It's just different since kids.
Yeah, man,
So, I
it's
mean, we were
crazy
we were
outside.
we were poor, so it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like it wasn't these type of dynamics. It was like, I have $2. Let's go get a 2 for 2 at Burger Mania. You know,
Man, that used to
you
be
know
the
what I'm
move.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
I got $5 or whatever it was. Um, I had my hustles and stuff at that point. I wasn't poor, but it wasn't like a
You wasn't a high value man making six figures.
right. Right. It wasn't never a situation where it's like you got to
Oh
pay for
man.
this, and yeah, man, I got to pay for my dinners and it. Like I couldn't even. I don't know if I could exist in the dating world today. Um, I would probably just be single. Honestly, I would be single,
I think
and
I would. I'd be
I,
too. I
I can't
think
even
so.
say what I would do, but I would be single. Because
I don't think it would be like it's. I think it seems that way because we're not like that's not. It's not something we're actively doing. Like you've been so far
right,
removed from that environment that it just seems like it's more than what it is.
right, right,
Um, but when you actually pay attention to people's choices and the data, it's like, well, everybody can't be doing this.
right. Like
Everybody
what?
can't
Paying for
be
everything.
paying for, yeah, like it's impossible.
Yeah.
So,
Well, for most people, yeah, they don't have it. But
but that's what I'm
um,
saying. Like the this also goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like people throw these ideas out on the you know on the internet because they can, but then when you have this conversation in person or you talk to them in person,
mhm.
none of that ever comes up.
No, it's super cap. It's super 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 cap, and it's either that or people have the funds to provide for dinners and dates and stuff, but everything else in the background is messed up. You know,
Yeah,
they could be sleeping in their car. They could have 5 different roommates trying to struggle to make sure they pay for everything for their I don't know, their date or whoever they're dating.
yeah.
So I think it is difficult to be a fully functioning a fully functioning financial adult. Like if you own real estate and maybe have a few cars and you own your house and those things, that sometimes it's hard to stretch that, and that's why most people in those scenarios who have houses or have run a household, they're usually married because they ain't got to worry about that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be I don't know. I don't know. I think
Well,
I
I
do.
asked that question though because I feel like we often don't look past, again, we don't look past what's in front of us. So
Mm,
if you're demanding a certain, if a man's value is solely tied to the money that he brings in, what happens when he has like a bad year, because you have good seasons, right? But the pendulum swings both ways, right? So you could be picture perfect, high value man or whatever, and then say you lose your job or your business gets shut down, you get a lawsuit or whatever, and now you may have to find other means of providing
Well,
financially.
you wouldn't if in those scenarios when you're down and you can't no longer provide at the level you were providing before. What comes into play is your choice on who you pick. And if you pick the right choice of mate to be with, those issues aren't a thing. But if you chose somebody where those things are important for you to be on point at all times, and always have the money flowing, then that's your choice. Because most
That's
people know
stressful.
they most people know who they're choosing. And if you're choosing somebody who is more high maintenance or demands certain things or demand a certain amount of resources from you,
Hmm.
then that's just is what it is. And you know what they look like, you know what they're asking for. You signed up for it. So you got to provide no matter what.
That's
You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out.
hmm
But if you pick somebody who can be a little more flexible in the time that you are down, or commissions ain't coming in, or the market shifted and or whatever, your business is not running the way it was, um, and you can pick some you have somebody that's more flexible in that, and maybe can help pick up or provide some type of bridge loan,
hmm
in terms of their income, um, then yeah, you're probably gonna be less stressed. But if you signed up for the other deal, you just got to make it happen.
No, I mean, I agree, which is why that's crazy. But I agree that it should be you know what you sign up for. I think,
Yeah.
the thing that for me, I try to get people to see beyond that, because again, you could be the shit today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're with somebody who met you as that, and they're with you on that
Yep.
level, and then 5 or 10 years go by, and it could be a wrap for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could have
You
been the
you you
and
might
now
get.
now it's switched. Your partner might be, think about how many people might have lost their positions, their businesses during COVID.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Things change up. I mean, I remember Jazz watched this show. It's a polygamous show where they have multiple wives, sister wives and stuff,
Hmm.
sister wives show, which is basically like someone who has like a main their main spouse. I don't want to say main. I guess they treat them as all equals, but they have multiple women though that they take care of.
Hmm.
And there's this guy, there's a black couple on there, and he had his primary wife, um, who actually ended up they weren't married anyway, but okay anyway, but it had his primary girlfriend, and they was looking for another sister wife, right, another partner,
Hmm.
and he was saying that, well, I'm hearing this through Jazz because she kind of keep me up on it. She was like, yeah, he was like, after the pandemic hit, his business lost a lot of money, lost a lot of funds. And at that point, he was taking care of all the women, all the household. They didn't have to do anything. They just take care of the kids. And I
Hmm.
think they had like 3 or 4 kids, and they wanted more with the new sister wife, that type of thing. And he took care of everything. He paid for everything, house, everything. And when the pandemic hit, money slowed up, and he had to start selling things, getting rid of stuff. And that sister wife, the other one, was gone. And I don't know you know if it related directly to the income not there anymore, and I can't do this. But to your point, things got different,
Hmm.
right? And people made different choices. So, but in that case, if you running that ship, like it has to be selling on point at all times.
All the
It
time.
is no, it is no, I don't have it. You got to wait a few months until I'm back on my feet. It's like, no, you better have some multiple streams of income. You better do something else.
Yeah, I mean, I just that's just a perspective that you never, like. I feel like you never hear.
Yeah.
You never hear the perspective of, I mean, because that's a natural occurrence in life. Like, even
Mm-hmm.
in everything. If you look at different businesses like that were here at some point, look at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Blockbuster was popping for how long, and then Netflix came and it was a wrap.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who's making a certain amount of money doing a certain position, you can do that for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That could be your season that whole time.
Mhm.
And then one day it's like, oh well,
Yeah.
that ain't me no more.
You gotta save some money because mama gotta eat. Sister
So
wives gotta eat. I don't want to hear that, your blockbuster closed down and you wish you would have sold it to Netflix when you had the chance. Like, no, I need to eat. I like dinners, I like jewelry, I like shoes, and I want a new car. My lease is coming up, and I need a new lease.
that's funny. That's because that's gonna
Be
be
that
me
new
next year.
thing.
That's gonna be me next year.
I
She'll
need
be
that
like,
new thing.
I want a new car, and I'll be like, we just gonna keep this one. But yeah. I mean, I get it. It's just funny to me. Like I think when like you kind of just live the way that you live, like regardless of like the outside influence and outside like messaging and all that, a lot of that becomes it becomes interesting.
Right.
It's like, oh wow, like this is how, this is why, or this is how you guys think. This is crazy. I didn't even know this was a thing. But like you were saying, you if you've been with somebody for so long, um, a lot of those things weren't really it wasn't really part of the whole process of
Yeah.
building whatever you were building. But
That's what they say. They say, I mean, and I watched some of Camel Samuel's content, and he mentions that he's like, if you're young and you come up with somebody else, that's a whole different thing. It's like, you came up when y'all were young, maybe just out of college, and you grow together. That's a whole different type of relationship. But that person is more likely to wait to figure out what you're going to blossom into.
mm-hmm.
But if someone met me now at my now stage, there's certain things that I'm just not going to
Yeah, no, I get that.
put up with, and that's the same
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
woman's side. It's like, if you meet a woman at 30, 35 years old, 40 years old, which is basically our base of people we know, they're used to certain things.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
they're
that's
not
why
going
I
to be
know.
like I'm gonna wait till your rapid career take off, or I'm gonna wait till your your I don't know, your icy business get off the ground. They're like, no, I'm used to living a certain way. I've made it to this age living a certain way in a certain lifestyle, and I want my person to be that same way. It's no time. So
Yeah,
my scenario is completely different. Um, and I'm also gonna have some demands, or some for sure things that's gonna have to go down. But I'm just glad I don't have to worry about that.
yes,
you
but
know,
yeah, it's just interesting. It's just interesting to hear that kind of stuff, like, because it's like, because what happens is you hear it kind of echoed from very, very like specific types of men,
mm-hmm.
right? And so, which is fine if that's how you live and you're able to do that, that's great, right? um but I only form opinions on things when somebody uses them to try and like present themselves as something else, something they aren't.
Right.
Right. So if we're just having a conversation about something, or if it comes up, or if anything, it could be anything, and it just comes naturally or whatever, like, okay, so I don't care. Like, I don't care about nothing. As soon as a person is like very like boisterous about certain things, that's when I get interested. Which is probably why I get hooked on like the internet guys, because
Mm.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, like, I know you're lying, but like,
Right.
so when, like I said, me and Sean was talking about it, and it was just like, I don't know who make all these different rules up, because he actually brought up a very interesting point. And he was like, if you just want your lady to sit at home all day, like, that's fine. But he was like, man, even if she was a receptionist, that's $500,000 in income over 10 years that just doesn't come through the house. You know what I'm saying? She could be making 50 grand a year being a receptionist or whatever. There's $500,000 that just doesn't come through the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Because
so,
you could walk around and say whatever you want to say, right? And so, and I'm not saying you should plan to do that. I'm just saying that's a thing. It's like, oh well, yeah, like you are kind of missing out on that.
Yeah, it's like this whole income stream just sitting at home.
Yeah.
Well, for me, my partner would have to be in a different role. That piece would have to be in a different role,
Mm-hmm.
So she may not be at a traditional job for 8 hours, but she'll be running a household,
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of the kids, their schooling, etc., running, taking care of the house in all capacities. So that person has to be in a different role.
No,
and
yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you have little kids, which is a goal of mine, is to have Jazz just be at home full time and run the household.
Mm-hmm.
But that return to that point, that return or that money's coming in, it has to be making dividends in another area,
Yeah.
to make sense. But if it's like you two single people, no kids, and they, your person is like, I just want to be at the house, or I want to just kind of do my thing.
Or say you working and you guys are both working, but your money just covers everything. Right. So then again, it's another point that he brought up. It was like, well, like, where's the rest? Like, okay, that's fine, but like, where's it actually going?
What you mean, the income?
Yeah, because if so.
Oh, you saying? Oh, okay, I get it. He's saying,
yeah,
the money's not being used. Like, money's coming in and it's not being used to fund the household.
Yeah, like because you're the man, you're paying for everything, right? So
okay, in this scenario, they both have jobs, and the money that the spouse makes is just not coming into the household. Okay,
it's her money because you pay for everything.
That's wild. That's a whole different scenario. That's a scenario.
But that's the same. That's the same thing. That's wow. How would you know if you're okay? How would you know that your man is paying all the bills if your money wasn't separate from his?
If it was not, oh yeah, right. You like, because I didn't put in on that. If your money's not separate for his, and in the other scenario you don't have income at all, then okay, well, yeah, I don't have any income, so you got to be paying everything. But in the case of they're not actually putting the money into the household, see, this is a scenario of philosophies, right? Mm-hmm. I believe once you get married or committed to somebody, all the money and resources is used
the house
to build that house, right, or keep that house running. But I know some people don't run it that way. I've known some people who they run it in a way where it's okay. Let's say they have $10,000 in expenses a month. I have my 5,000 this month. Where's your 5,000?
Yeah.
And I heard that, and it kind of just blew my mind. And then at the same time, you're like, well, if it works for you, I guess. All right. But it's just like, I couldn't even imagine. How could you even properly plan without knowing all the funds that's coming in?
Well,
how could you properly plan?
The man makes all the plans, and maybe, just maybe, that's why many of those households don't meet certain benchmarks. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like if the woman has input and contribution, you can go a lot farther. Mm-hmm. Just being married in general, right? If it's not one side, if no part of the marriage is one, and I'm not married, I don't know, but if no part of the marriage is one-sided, I feel like you can go a lot farther. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like when all these things are, I feel like when all these things are it's all one-sided, then those are areas where if you fall short, there's no one there to pick that slack up. Mm. You know what I mean? Because you're the only one who does it.
You talking about from whoever's running it? The
Just in general, like
right.
there's various ideas and concepts where it's one-sided in relationships.
Yeah.
The finances just happen to be one that's very popular, and it's an ongoing talking point.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel
Yeah.
like when that's the case, where all the responsibility of said item or said whatever falls solely on one side, I feel like I feel like that can be a reason why sometimes you fall short. If I'm the only one making plans, because it's my money that I'm planning with, like I can't really see everything I have available to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not accounting for another person. I'm making
Right.
decisions for me. You just happen to be here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
So
like what?
if
Hey,
if I
yeah.
want to move, you just coming with me because we live together. You
Right.
might not want to move.
You just come back. You just come back from work one day. Hey, I found a house, so pack your stuff up.
Yeah.
Pack
You
your
know?
stuff up. We going. Um. Okay. Well, for someone who enjoys having a mate that makes decisions, um, I think they to your point, I think they do benefit from input, right? Or a joining of a joint discussion of what should be done.
Mhm.
Um, yes, I believe that's true. But I think in some scenarios, I also think in some scenarios that um, usually there's one person who is elected to be the leader or
Mhm.
elected to not so much make the decisions, but to guide the family in a certain way. And 100% agree that I think you should have all input from the family to make the best decision. But I think at some point, someone has to lay out the foundation of what's going to happen, right?
Mhm.
And not in so much of a communist way, but in but in a like someone has to pick up, you know, someone has to pick up the stick and run. I forget what they call it in relay racing, but someone has to pick it up and start running first, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I believe though.
No, I agree with that. I get that. All I'm saying is like think about all the important decisions you've made, like in the last, I don't know, say 20 years, and
Mm-hmm.
how many of those decisions came after you talked to your wife.
Mm-hmm. Is that a question?
Yeah, I'm asking
Oh,
you.
okay.
Like you don't have to give like an
I'm
exact
like,
number. I'm just saying, just think about it. Like think
right,
about it,
right.
like very important decisions you've had to make. Was
Yeah,
there? Did you like at least you? Of course, you already know kind of what you're going to do, but did you at least have a conversation, like and get
yeah,
some
for sure.
insight?
I think, yeah, for sure. I think even encouragement coming from the
Mm-hmm.
side. I can think about you know, getting my broker's license, where it's something that you kind of want to do, but it's like, all right, well, sometimes you need somebody. All right, well, what's up with that? Did you do that yet? you know, or um, just certain things that you want to do in your life, right? I don't know if it's going back to school or it's starting a business. Sometimes it's good to have somebody to bounce something off and have some type of encouragement that comes back,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so in that case, yeah, you thought about things you wanted to do, and they might encourage you or say, hey, yeah, you should do that. But in terms of
They may even help you avoid a bad situation.
right, well, I think some men, particularly, I think they think of it as permission when they're asking their wife's input. They think
That's
of
a
it
shame.
like like I don't need permission to do that. Like I'm the man. I'm the man. You know?
Yo, yeah. Whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, we're gonna come back to this, but I gotta because you made me remember this. So last week, so by the way, I saw a bear in real life. Okay, not at the zoo, but so I went to
uh,
me and so Brandon calls me last week and he's like, yo, you want to go play poker? I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's like, yes, I forgot where it was. It was up in the mountains somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes to pick me up. We head up there. It's way up there in the mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking it's like we're gonna play poker like for fun. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what's the
Right.
buy-in? $40. All right, I'll bring $100, right?
Right.
I'm not realizing we're going to play poker like with generational wealth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we get up there. The guy's house is in the back. It's a black dude too. His house is in the back. Like, so there's a front house that's somebody else's house, and his
Right.
driveway is on the side of it.
Right.
So you got to walk through his driveway, and then his entire house is behind someone else's house. You can't even see
Mm-hmm.
it from the street.
Yeah.
And you walk in, and it's all nice and everything. But apparently where he lives, they have bears and mountain lions. And they said
Mm-hmm.
that, right? They said that, and I'm like, all right, well, that's what's up. But an actual bear was like on his property,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
like no fences, no nothing, like wildlife.
You just walked up.
Like, yeah. It's like,
I just think it's interesting that you're surprised to see a bear there, and you walked in his house.
bro, it was in the tree. He's like, oh look, there goes a bear. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
he's in
why are
his
y'all going
tree.
that way? Why are you going that way? Like,
He in his tree. People pulling out their
uh,
phones, looking at him.
but
Like,
so
you built
anyway,
your house here in my neighborhood.
he really did, because his house is like all open, so it really is like in the forest. But so we playing poker and everything. They playing big money. Um, and actually I was winning, and then I lost on my last hand to a comedian. I
Mm.
forgot his name, but he used to be on Comic View.
Oh, okay.
And that's the only reason why I called his bet, is because I'm like, he's a comedian, like he's lying.
I
So he took all
ain't
my
gonna let
money.
this funny dude beat me.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, who's laughing now?
during, I think he said that,
All kind of
but
puns.
I think he said that for real. Um, so anyway, the night progresses, and there's a guy there who was sitting next to. So it's the guy who owns the house, and then there is him, and then his wife,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the guy is sitting in between them, and somehow, how like when you gambling with people, they say, "Oh no, nah, man, you gotta give me a chance to earn my money back," or
Yeah.
"No, you
He'd be
can't
like,
cash
nope,
out yet." Yeah,
nope.
right. So. And the owner of the house said that, right? He said, nah, man, you can't cash out yet. You gotta put your hour in or whatever.
All right.
And so the dude, he flips out, right? He just completely loses it. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, you can't talk to me like that. I'm a man, right? He's like, I'm a man, and he slaps the chips.
What?
Yeah, he slaps and this is a real poker table, right? He had dealers and everything. So
Right.
it's a real poker table. Everybody's money is around, is some thousands on the table. And he just slaps the chips and leaves.
So was this open bar?
Well, yeah, because whatever you brought and whatever he had.
Oh, okay.
And then so he'll buy food and all that kind of stuff.
So he's been drinking.
I don't know if he was drinking though. And they said that he's played there many times. Just for whatever reason that day, he felt like he needed to show that he was a man.
By slapping the chips, by by losing your character, losing your cool, losing your character. Like, I don't think he displayed it in that moment. Maybe he
So
was a
it's
man, but I
but
don't think that's the way to display it.
I
To have
think
a
I think
tantrum.
the thing because a lot of people do stuff like that, and I think the thing that they don't really like, they don't realize, is that when you leave, you become a joke. And I know you don't
Yeah.
notice that because you're gone, but when you
Yeah.
leave, like now everything is, but I'm a man. Like somebody's gonna make that joke. So the whole night, everybody was like, "You can't talk to me like that. I'm a man." So yeah, but
You would
I
have better
brought that up.
fold. Don't
I
talk to me
brought that
like
up
that.
because you said, some people need to prove their
Right.
manhood in that way, and it's just so funny because by him doing that, it just showed how childish he was.
Yeah.
That somebody welcomed you into their house, their very nice house,
Mm.
to play poker with them and feed you, and all that, and you decide to showcase your manhood by acting like a kid.
Right. Yeah, I think if your manhood is wrapped up in anything that you can display or show, you don't have it.
Yeah.
Because I think in a lot of cases people do try to pull that card, even like trying to buy it or pay for everything or say, hey, I pay for everything. I think ultimately it's a display of that they are a man. I think that's the ultimate display when you talk about someone that's what most of those conversations are rooted in, especially on the side of people who say, yeah, I pay for everything. It's rooted in that. I think sometimes to be like, I'm the man. I'm a man. Yeah, I'm gonna take care. I'm gonna take care. And I don't know if that's the definition of being a man. I think we need to expand on that a little bit more and look a little more deeply, because that can't be all of it. Because there's a lot of people who can just pay for everything and slap chips around, and that doesn't particularly make them a man.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't even know. I don't even know what that means.
I wish you would have
I
been
know what
there.
it means in the context of why the way people are using it. But
I think it had more to do with. I think it just had more to do with the situation. Like, he's coming to this guy's house. He knows he knows he's well off. You know, it's a black dude too. Black dude owns the house. He does it every Wednesday. Every Wednesday he hosts poker night at his house.
Yeah.
So maybe one of these days we'll go up there together. But it was just funny, like how
I think you disrespect me. I'm a man, and you didn't invite me. You know what I'm saying? What you think this is?
Bro, I got invited. First of all, I get invited thinking I'm just going to a local poker party, and the first hand was like $300, and I'm like, bro, I just bought in with 40. Like, why didn't y'all tell me this was gonna be this type of event? I would have came prepared.
Right.
And the funny thing is, I was actually arguing with Vita before I left the house, and she's like, yeah, go get some more cash. I'm like, no, I don't need no more cash. Like, just buying is $40. I got 2 buy-ins.
Right.
And she was like, nah, you need to bring more money. And I'm like, no.
I'm a man. Yes. Listen what I said. I don't have to say things twice around here. I'm a man.
And then I got there and I was like, damn, she was right.
Right. That's what you get for not having the input.
Yeah, see, there you go. See, that's what I'm trying to say. I feel like life is just better that way. You know what I mean? But I brought all that up to say something that was actually her idea. I can't even take credit for this. Kind of going back along the lines of the original topic was because she has a side business, right? So she decided that all the money she makes on her side business goes into her brokerage account. Right. And so I was like, yeah, that's dope. You know what I mean? So it's like you have the money that comes in the house, and then you also have investments. Right. And so now I think and then maybe we should get more married people on the show, because I'm not married, but you are. I mean, I'm basically married, but I'm not. So I'm not. So I can't, my perspective don't count in the eyes of some people. You know, so I would like to see how I would just like to see, like, you know, just get more insight.
You'll get some insights, all right. I mean, because once I start not so much asking people, but people kind of share, start making beats.
What's going on? Hold on. I don't know what's happening.
Now he want to be producer on the side. I got my middle podcast. I'm gonna make beats.
I don't know what
that our new intro.
No, actually, I got all that. I know what it's gonna be though. I know what it's gonna be. So what we're gonna do is, so first of all, we had a little technical difficulty. We back. But what we're gonna do is,
you gotta leave that in.
I probably am. But since now, you know, we are fully about this cap life, right? I found a couple places that we could get some content,
Man, you
very
can't tell people you're gonna cap before you do it. That's
why not?
just ruins it.
I feel like that makes the cap even better. Like,
Yeah,
people
yo,
gonna be like,
watch this, yo. Watch this.
because then it's like people gonna be like, yo, I know it's for real because they told you it's fake. So
What?
we could. I don't know, man. I'm drinking tequila.
I don't know why
But
these people talk this way.
I think we're gonna do it though.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Now that we found the place to find the locations that we need, I can put everything else together. We can go in there and get some content, and yeah. So all that will be part of season 2.
Yeah, we taking it to the next level. Season 2, cap season.
Damn, is that the name of the episode? I mean, this is episode 20. This is so for those of y'all who don't know, I know we said we would do 30 shows, but we actually decided against that, and this is the last show. The first season.
No, I think we. We the mans. We can decide. We can decide how many shows we the mans. No, I think we kind of alluded to that last show. The 20 was sufficient.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we fully decided, but 20 is good.
Yeah,
and
so
then,
I mean,
we'll be back.
That's it's
So we got some things in the work,
Yeah, this is the end of the first season. The second season will come back bigger and better with a lot more or many more or just more value, I'd say, because there's going to be some things we're implementing that I think people are going to like. And then aside from that, just the ability to have new voices on the show. So for me, that's the biggest thing is I think this came at the right time because, like, for those of y'all who don't know, or you don't know because you're not on the show, but we have a piece of paper, not a piece of paper, a document that we share notes on, for the week. And I opened it up the other day and I noticed that you wrote down 800 active fires in California. And I was like, yo, we like, talking about fires now? Like, no, we gotta take a break. we gotta take a break. Like,
but that was in relation to. So okay, let me show you where that came from.
No,
quickly.
I'm sure it was, but just looking at it is like, yeah, man,
it's like, yo, you really pulling the straws here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just put things down, and it's part of the point, but not the full point. But I was in LA, and I was checking on a listing and doing some business out there, and ended up finishing pretty early, and then meeting up with Will, and trying to figure out where the tour was. He's been on tour for a while, going all over the place. What did he call the tour?
I have it. It's the New History Tour.
No, that's not it. It's probably part of it. It's something ambition.
Peaceful ambition.
Peaceful ambition. Thank you. I know he like, yo, I just told you. The Peaceful Ambition Tour. So I'm calling Will to figure out where the Peaceful Ambition Tour is, and he's like, it's actually on pause. They had some issues with the RV. So, anyways, that's getting repaired, and I was like, yo, he's like, yeah, well, I was actually gonna go to PV and do some hiking, and I was like, okay, well, I'll meet up with you after this meeting. It'll probably be like, I don't know, 30 minutes. Ended up being a little bit faster, and he ended up pivoting and actually going local to Kenneth Hahn, which is like basically right in the middle of Inglewood. And we've been there before. Well, I've been there once hiking, and so I was able to go down there, and we hiked for about an hour and a half. And I don't understand why more people aren't there. I mean, just on a quick rant, I don't understand why more people don't go outside to these places that are free. Parking was free during the week. Actually, I think it's free during the pandemic now. And actually just utilize outside is so nice. But anyways, I was talking to him, and the reason why the tour was delayed because in some areas where he's going, there were fires, active fires, and he actually told me like, there's like active like almost 800 active fires, and I was like, what? Like nationwide, there's 800 fires, like active fires, like now, like we're sitting here now, shit is on fire. Like why? That's like, you think that would be pertinent news? Like every day they should be telling me, yo, the nation's on fire. It's so many things on fire, but we only getting like three things. We're getting COVID, people mad at Biden, and uh, one other thing. I don't know, whatever the newest person did. Anyways, so he brought that up, and it just started me thinking like all the things that we don't know that's happening around us because we have no information source coming in from those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell you, just like he told me, oh, there's 800 fires nationwide, active fires going on right now. Shit is burning up. Where
That's crazy.
it's so smoky that it's 3 or 4 times over the toxic level of healthy air you can actually breathe in. And you would be like, wow, I didn't know that. Well, most people probably listening are gonna say, hey, I didn't know that. And I just start thinking about all the things we don't know because the algorithm that we have on our phones or on
Mm-hmm.
the internet is feeding us different material that we may not be interested in. Um, so that's why I put that down to go on that rant. So it's just important. It's important to put these things down.
Yeah, that was funny though. I
They may
started
not relate to
crying as soon
finances,
as I
but
saw it.
yeah. So that's why I put that down. Like, yo, I'm like, why I don't know about certain things that's going on. And I'm a person that likes nature and outdoors. So, I mean, those things are important to me. I am
Mm-hmm.
upset about fires that have just started. And this has to be human error. Um, maybe people not putting out their fires properly, throwing cigarette butts out the window.
Definitely
Uh,
cigarettes.
I've even seen some people like trailing some type of thing, and the chain is dragging on the ground, which is causing sparks. So they drive through, they just sparking up, and they don't know. Um, all kind of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But as a person who loves using outdoor space, it's just that's pretty alarming. Um, Especially for people who live in those type of cities. Like if the smoke is crazy and they have to be outdoors, or their income source is more from recreational sources, like they can't eat. You know, like
Yeah.
how can I be a man and I can't go to work because it's too smoky?
That's
You
the
know,
title of the
how,
episode. I'm a man.
I can't be a high value man if people keep burning up the forest. I can't even go to work. It's too smoky. China has apps, actual physical apps they use every morning they wake up to see the the air quality level because it's so
Oh,
bad.
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, air quality level. Like they have to open up an app. Like, how horrible it is to breathe.
That's
I
funny,
can imagine that's
actually.
why they wear a lot of masks out there. I mean, besides SARS epidemics they've been through a few times.
Let me ask you a question, because you've been out of the country before,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as we
That's what
discussed
they
in the
say.
previous episode, is I'm someone who I won't say I don't care to travel. I just like to travel a certain way, and I
It's
won't.
okay.
I'm okay with not doing it until we can do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But what from that trip? What has stuck with you the most?
Um, I think overall is I mean, it's a communist country, so when you go over, because you only see what you see on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could say the slight anxiety I had with going over to a communist country, and the pictures I had in my head based on what was on the news, what's shown here in the states, was not that. It was completely different. it was normal. It was normal. It was nice. People were living. The trains, the public transportation is pristine. It's clean.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's running like a well-oiled machine. Everything is nice. People are dressed nice. I went to Hong Kong too, so I'm not like that was part of the
Yeah,
spot I
that's
went to. So they
yeah.
live differently. But we also went to Shanghai, um, Macau, different areas. Which Macau is kind of like their Las Vegas. I kind of seen it as like a budding Las Vegas, like from the '60s. I'm like, this is gonna be something.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's basically gambling and stuff. Um, but my fullest takeaway was um, you don't know until you show up. You don't know, you know, you don't know how things are really going to be until you actually show up and go there and experience it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no amount of content or thing you can see on TV or from the media that can give you true perspective on how things are until you go there and see it for yourself. See it and experience it for yourself. There's because even I had a whole different perspective of the whole country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, with that being said, I also don't want to say I feel like it's just a utopia because we went to areas where people live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Too, and those areas are turned up too. You got your hoods everywhere though,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I don't want to make it seem like it's just a perfect place, but because we went to those areas too, and I got pictures too of people who live like in 200 square foot houses, or apartment buildings, stuff like that. Clotheslines going out from window to window, that type of thing. But but I don't know, man. It it's it's good to see and experience and witness how people live, on all levels everywhere. So that I think that was my full takeaway is um, it wasn't how it was perceived to be on the media.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to assume some other areas are that way too. You know, just like same with our media. Like you have people that come from out of state. Remember, your family wants to come out of state, and it's like, yeah, we want to go to Hollywood, and you're like, ew.
Yeah, they went to Venice. Well, we went to Venice, but that was before Venice was like what it is now. Like
Yeah,
now it's ridiculous. But
but
they
people want
wanted
to
to go
go.
to
They
Venice
want to go to
Beach.
Hollywood. They want to go to L.A. And people who've been there. I mean, and it depends on where you want to be, but a lot of those places are not desirable places that you wouldn't want to hang out at and be at. It's different.
Nah,
It's completely different from the media version of those areas.
my little cousin wanted to go to Crenshaw and Slauson. She was, I was like, yo, like we could go, but like you can't just go hang out. Like,
Yeah.
it's not one of the
No.
places.
No.
Um, yeah, so I mean, I get it. I mean, it's like again, somebody coming from out of state and then they come to like Rialto or something, and then it's like, oh well, this isn't like Beverly
This is
Hills at
not
all.
LA.
Yeah, so,
I thought I was going to California, but yeah, this is part of California too.
yeah. I mean, I get it. I understand. I'm just, I
But
just be trying to.
what's the I mean, what's the why? I mean, why? Because with
That's
some
what I'm asking
you're
you. Like,
basically
what
with
is?
somebody that likes to travel. So you'd be like, all right, you go without me. That gonna be the move.
Well, she's been. Her job has allowed her to travel for. Well, her new job doesn't, but her
I'm
previous
talking about
job
just
did.
off travel. I mean, outside of work. I'm sure
I'll
she knows
travel, but I just like to do things a certain way, man. Like my problem is I've been exposed to too much.
that. Hmm.
And I know it's a problem. I know it's a problem. It is a serious problem.
Hmm.
But I've been exposed to too much. I've gotten too much exposure to certain things, and so it's like, well, I don't want to do it unless I can do it like this. So
Hmm.
it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just if we just spend the money just to go, I'm like, well, it's not how I want to do it.
So you saying your fun is tied up in a specific way of having fun. So it's like
Yes.
I'm not gonna have fun unless I mean, give me some examples.
uh like I want to go to Monaco.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to Monaco and pull the yacht up to the actual track
Mm-hmm.
and watch the race from the yacht. See, you laughing, but I'm dead
No,
serious. Like,
I'm not laughing at you. It's just the way you said it. I want to pull the yacht up to the
no,
track
it doesn't have
and
to be
watch the
my
race
yacht.
from the yacht.
It doesn't have to be my yacht, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I would do if I go to Monaco.
Right.
And then we can see all the
So
other stuff. I'm just
it's like,
saying, like,
look, we can travel, but we're gonna do the things I want to do. And we're gonna do those first.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
Nah, I mean, because we've been a few places. It's just like it's just I don't know. I'm not, especially now
I
that we're
mean,
older. There's certain things that I'm just not really like into,
mm-hmm,
and I don't want to be like a party pooper.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, if you bring me, like, it's not gonna be probably not be much fun for me.
mm-hmm.
I'll go, but I don't want you to be upset if it's something I'm not really like interested
Yeah,
in.
jumping off the walls about.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think that's an issue anyway. I think you're pretty neutral anyway. People won't notice if you're having fun or not. They'll be like,
Well, she will because she knows me. But everybody else would be like, "Wow, we're having an amazing time." But
he'd be like, I'm ready to go.
yeah, it's not that I don't want to. It's there's just I feel like there's other there's ways to do things, and then like yeah, it's pretty much it. There's just ways to do things. Like when y'all went to Dubai, like y'all had the pod. Well, you didn't go, but B and William went,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the pods and everything. Like I'm not going overseas 16 hours in a regular seat. Like you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Just to say that I went. Like what is it really doing for me?
Yeah. I mean, I would, but
I just don't. I just like for what?
because even
Like what is? I want to take a nap. You know what I'm saying? I want to be comfortable. I want to do it a certain way. And I feel like if I can't do things that way, then I just won't do them.
right.
That's why I say it's a problem. Because then I know like
No, it for sure. I think for I'm able to find the joy in the smallest things, right? And I think when your fun doesn't come from outside yourself, I think you have the ability to enjoy yourself anywhere. And it's not just about who's there or what's there or how it's being done or how you get there. It's just it's more so like within you, you know? It's like if I go out, let's say if we went out tonight, we had tacos and shots. I'm just like,
yeah, we have a great time.
I'm enjoying this, right?
Yeah.
I'm not it's not that it's like, man, this would be cool, but we also could be on the yacht eating tacos.
No, that's different
You know?
though. That's different.
It's
I
it's
understand what you're
like
saying, but that's different. That's different
mm-hmm,
because it'd be like, okay, if what I'm saying is if we're gonna go do what we're doing here now over there, why go over there?
right. So you saying the experience should be something else that I can get or gain by
On a
being
different
there.
level. Yeah, like I should be able to have an experience that I
Right.
can't have at home.
Right. I get that. So like just location and seeing a different beach or
That's not enough
a
because
different
I live 5 minutes from the beach and I don't go.
right.
So I'm gonna go like I'm gonna
The
go over
Atlantic is
there.
different though. The Atlantic is different. The Atlantic is Atlantic is warm. It's like you like in a bubble bath. But
Yeah, I'm
I get
sure.
what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But
Like if we went say right now, like me, you and a couple friends, we went to like Miami. What we gonna do?
mm-hmm. I don't know.
We go. I'm just we're gonna walk around, right? We're gonna go see stuff. We're gonna probably hit it like a bar or a club or a lounge. We're gonna dress nice. Okay, cool. We do that already.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe traveling for you would be trying different things when you're out there. You know how people go like zip lining, scuba diving, skydiving, um, you know, RT RTV riding, maybe riding the razor. uh, something like that. You're looking like, I don't want to do none of those things. Maybe you're just not a fun person. Maybe you don't like fun. Okay.
I'm not. I actually discovered that a while ago. I was like, I'm not really a fun person.
I don't like fun.
I'm just like when we was playing poker at the other day at that dude's house. He had the playing poker. He has the oldies going, or just good music in general.
Mm-hmm.
You surrounded by uh well, minus one person, but you're surrounded by people, who are good people and amongst good company. Everybody's
Right.
eating, having a good time, laughing. I like
Mm-hmm.
doing stuff like that.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's cool. You know what I've been doing, and what I kind of really started focusing on really during the pandemic is really focusing on things that make me happy. Like wherever they are, like in the moments I'm like, I like this. Like write that down. Be like, I'm gonna do more of this. Because especially in a time where like everything was messed up, it's like you really have to really hold on to the things that's really fun or make you happy. And they got to be down to the minute things that cost nothing or no money or no effort, to the things that might cost, all the way down to $1 to thousands of dollars, and figure out what those are. Because I think the dopamine hit we get from these things that make us happy, or serotonin or whatever it is. I'm not a scientist. I think they still spark no matter what those things are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get used to um, your dopamine releasing based on the most extreme things you could do, that can make you happy, um, I think that's where depression and anxiety might live, because you're like, I never have an outlet of the things I like to do that make me happy, because those things cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, yeah,
Where
that's what it is.
going to a poker game and having to buy in a $40 and sitting around eating, drinking, and talking shit, it also is a dopamine hit. Um, for me, it's going outside, right? Going outside, getting some fresh air, going on a hike, that type of thing. Um, that's what does it for me, and that doesn't cost much.
Mm-hmm.
But for the other things I like doing too, it might cost more, and I'm definitely not gonna do those all the time. So it's just like, it's levels that we have to pay attention to that make us happy, all the way down to the lowest levels, all the way up to the highest levels. And I would argue that they're all the same in terms of the feeling you get.
Mm-hmm.
My brain doesn't tell me like, hey, you're having much more fun now because you spent 10,000 rather than $2.
No, I mean,
You know,
and it's not. It's I don't think the money is just a thing. I mean, I just know that's just the cost. Like,
right?
because there's definitely, like, I've always wanted to go to the Maldives, right? And we're gonna go eventually whenever I just feel like going. But
Mm-hmm.
but there's a very specific way I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't care what else happens as long as, like, certain things happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's just how I be looking at it. So, like, if these certain things can't happen, I just don't. And when I get there, I'm gonna have fun. I know I am. Like, we went to Hawaii before and it was fun and all this. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm
Fun
gonna
was
have
there.
fun. You just have to get me there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Fun was
getting
present.
there, getting there is gonna be the problem because I'm be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just go hang out. Like, I'd rather just go hang out.
Right.
But then we go and we have a good time. So, um,
And maybe you just got to work on getting out of your own way.
I do. I know I do. That's what I'm saying. I just
Be
been.
like, you know what? I'm not gonna take the reins on this. I don't know what's good for me. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna cut off my brains for a while and just be led into fun times.
I mean, honestly, that's usually what happens because I don't. Usually, like, when we travel, it's because she she has, like, a job somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's going to be there for a while. So it's like, oh, we can go.
Right.
So we just make a trip out of it,
Mm-hmm.
which and we end up having fun. Like it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's just, if you ask me, if you ask me what I want to do, I'm gonna tell you what
Right.
I want.
Right.
You
You
know what I
shouldn't
mean?
have brought it
Like,
up. Oh, you
yeah,
brought up my choices. Oh, okay.
yeah. So if you say if someone asks me like, you know, would you like to go do dot dot dot, and it's not something that I really wanted to do, I'm gonna say no.
Right.
I'm not just gonna
Like
say
that's not
yes.
on my list.
Yeah, I'm not just gonna say yes because like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. Like I've never thought about that, so no, I kind of don't want to do that.
Right. Right.
But if you're asking, hey, this is what we're doing, would you like to come? Oh yeah, that'd be cool. That's different.
Right. Right.
So maybe it's the ask. Maybe the ask is like
Right.
it
I mean,
shouldn't be
I've never asked. I'm just like, hey, what you doing? We about to go here. That's business. We was teenagers.
because you're a man.
Yeah, because I'm a man. That's probably been 80% of the reason why you went out the house. It's like,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
know. He said he come over, we going somewhere. I don't know. I'm like, just get dressed. All right.
Yeah, low key, that's kind of what. Yeah,
All
damn,
right.
that's
All right.
crazy. That is crazy because I wouldn't go. Yeah, that's right.
You didn't come up with
That's
no
right.
ideas. Like, yo,
That's right.
I'm like,
So
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
anyway,
We're gonna pull up.
aside from that, because we might be going to Texas soon, we got to figure out that situation. Well, you are
Yeah.
going to Texas.
I'm going to Texas.
You already bought your
I
ticket.
told Jazz, I said, yo,
Um,
I'm going to Texas.
um, so yeah, but I also
So if
something
any of our
else.
listeners in Texas, hit us up. Um,
We might do a show there. I don't
we can
know.
have a shot with you,
Yeah.
or you gotta be cool though, because
So so I know this week this show is kind of like just you know what it is, but um something else that happened this week that was actually pretty important was the eviction moratorium.
oh yeah,
And so I know we didn't really get into that yet, but I want to make sure we caught that this week because um that's a lot of what people think is going to happen in the economy is tied to that.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Well,
um,
it's been at the federal level.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much I don't know how much strength that's gonna have anyway. If we still have states' rights
yeah,
and county all the way down to city level of how people are handling the rent moratorium. Just like that doesn't make it no difference in California. I'm not sure about other states. I haven't looked into it, but I know LA has their own. LA County has their own rent moratorium. You know,
hmm
all the way down to each individual city in some cases. So,
Have you
um,
heard? Have you heard or read any articles about homeless landlords?
no, but
I've read a few.
I've seen it before. Yeah.
I've I've read a few that they own property, but because nobody is paying rent, they actually lost the property they live in,
Yep.
and so now
Mm-hmm.
they're homeless.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
But I think people want that. I think that's what people
You
want.
can't even move into your own building because you can't evict the person in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
You
I
can't
know
reclaim your. Yeah, that's true.
it's gonna be some problems because I'm definitely not gonna be homeless as I own real estate. It's gonna be some issues, and I think that's where violence ensues with things like that, where where people just don't people will get in dire straits to do anything, and I think that comes
hmm
from both ends, both sides. People who feel like they have a right to stay in the property, and the home provider who feel like I've been providing for this long, and I need to provide for myself.
hmm
So I don't know. It's tough. That's a messed up situation,
Man,
but it's a real one.
it's I haven't I've been kind of paying attention to it, but not really focusing on it because I feel like it's just never ending. It's like why? Because whatever you figure out about it today, 2 weeks from now is going to be totally different.
Yeah, they're just basically like flying a plane as they build it. They're just making it up. Everybody's just making it up
Yeah.
as they
So
go. And they
yeah,
don't have it. It really don't have. I think the certain decisions don't have the people in mind, I think overall people will do anything to stay in the positions of leadership. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you need, whatever the base needs, they'll try to do. Um, in many cases, most people don't think about all sides and try to come to a certain resolution. Um, you just don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people don't care about people.
Yeah, I mean it's ugly, man.
Yeah, it's
It's
terrible.
ugly because
It's terrible.
if you can't pay, and then you see the reactions and the comments and the interviews and the clips of people saying how housing should be um, a human right, and you know what, man, and I hate I just get so perplexed. I get so confused when I read some things because um, how can housing be a right if there isn't a person there to put it there for you? And it's like I don't think people understand like we all participate in this system, right? Like we all serve a purpose, and for some people, part of that purpose is providing for others. So
Mm-hmm.
if people need shelter and you're in the position to provide it, then you will. I don't see why there's a like the monetary gain from that isn't like a fixed monetary gain. Like, oh, you buy a house and you rent it to somebody or you own an apartment building, whatever, you just become stupid wealthy. It's like, no, like there's other factors that go into that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's just interesting how, you know, people can just throw that information out and their officials will let them just run with it. Like,
I
yes,
think when
it
people
should be a
say
right.
when they say housing should be a right, I think what they're backing into is housing should be provided by the government or government ran. Um, because what's the ultimate goal? And like if you unpack that, because some people will package it as this is a human right, right, and
Mm-hmm.
that's more so a tugging at your heartstrings, right? Uh, position. But if you put that in practice, it's what is your actual ask, right? So if someone to say, I agree, housing, housing is a right. What does that mean? Then you start to dig into what that actually means. Well, and I don't know. I don't know what the points are, but is it rent should be um, free? Uh, should rent be discounted? And for how long?
No, I mean,
Should
I think when they
rent
say that,
or
they mean it
housing
should be
be
free.
tied to? Should it be tied to? I don't know what you do or how much you make. It's like, okay, let's get past the talking point. Let's get down to like what that actually means in practice. And I think in many cases it means that housing should be government ran. And I don't know what that looks like.
I mean, but housing is some forms of housing is government operated.
Mm-hmm.
Like that exists already.
Yeah,
So
it does.
I don't think that's what they mean either. I think they literally mean they should be able to like walk up and just move in. Like there's a house for you here.
How does it get paid for?
Yeah, but again, this is what I'm saying. Like these are the
Who
things
pays
when
for it?
when you say
It has to
housing
come
should
from
be
something.
when you say it should be a right and it's not be treated as a commodity, but it's only treated as a commodity because of certain elements like scarcity, supply, demand, all that, right?
Right.
Um, that's something that happens naturally on its own.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a function of you know some people sitting across the table from each other saying this is what it's going to be. That only happens once something becomes big enough to require that level of regulation.
Right.
I mean, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin was there's a famous meme of a guy who bought a slice of pizza with like 25 Bitcoins, 20 years ago or something.
Yeah.
right? And now Bitcoin has all these different regulations, it's being taxed a certain way. All of a sudden it needs that regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So why is Bitcoin not a right, a human right, and
Right.
not a commodity?
Well, I think
Right?
'cause,
Like,
when you talk about shelter, it's just different. I mean,
no, I understand,
that's
but
one of like
it
that's
functions
one
the
of like
same way.
the multiple elements though of like food, water, shelter. Um, it's not like food, water, shelter, Bitcoin.
No, I
I
get
think
that, but
that
I'm
I think
saying
that's why they put it together.
it functions the same way though. So they're okay. They're okay with getting the money from Bitcoin, getting the money with from Dogecoin or whatever. But when it comes to housing, we need to go in reverse and deregulate everything and just make it all free. Let everybody move in, right? Because nobody's gonna
Right.
build nothing if that's the case. So it's like just let everybody move into the house they want to move in. You can have multiple roommates, right? Multiple families will live with each other because you can just walk right in. You can just walk in. I live here. So
Yeah,
and you know what I'm
I don't think
saying?
that's a great example, but
That's what they
I get
say. Is
I get what you're
that's what
saying.
it means to say
But I think
to
that's why it's because of those elements, the things you need, absolutely need as a person. Um, food, water, shelter, clothing. That's the basic things you need. If you have those things, you can go on living. Um, I think that's why they lump it into human rights. And then if you expand it, um,
yeah, but shelter doesn't have to be
if you can also expand it to like healthcare, education. Um, I don't know. It can just
shelter
expand
doesn't
into
have
like
to be a house. Shelter can literally be a hole in a mountain.
it be a cave. So you saying
Somebody built a house with their money.
right?
It wasn't the house didn't get built by like itself. Even if the government built it, they would need your tax dollars,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if just shelter, not the type or the style, not the craftsman or the
Mm-hmm.
farmhouse in Westchester, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just shelter is a human right, then yes, you can just go pitch a tent under the freeway.
I was just gonna say, so you electing that if someone believes it's a human right to have shelter, that they should pick a government tent. They should be provided tents by the government.
That's what they're
That's
doing anyway. They're doing that. They're doing that
that's
now.
that's the um yeah, I don't know. I think we have to figure out what's a level of respectable housing. I think we already have that case. Like we have Section 8 where it's certain certain things that have to be in order for you to rent your home, your property, Section 8. So whatever that list is, I think we easily know exactly what it means to be in a sustainable house and what that looks like and how much it costs. We have models for that. It already exists. Um, I think the issue is with affordable housing and housing is the right. The whole argument is we might get bottlenecked into whether it's a human right or not, but the actual logistics of having or building more affordable housing is so difficult, and it's difficult because at the level of getting permits, um, getting the funding, and ultimately the people who actually have houses, they voted down. When you go into a neighborhood, if you want to build anything, they voted out. They go straight to their council people and they say, no, we don't want affordable apartment buildings. No, we don't want single family homes. I've even seen people complain about the size of the home that was being built. They said these homes are going to be um, too big for the neighborhood and ruin the character. So they basically complain that the houses that are coming to the area are too big. They're bigger than their houses, and it's going to ruin the character.
Mm-hmm.
That's some sneak hater stuff if I've ever seen it. You can't build this new development because it's bigger than my house. It's going to ruin the character. So I think if we get bottlenecked into rather shelter is a human right or not, we don't even get get to the fact of actual logistics of actually building, what it looks like to build it and how much it costs, and
But
who
we
should
know,
live
no, but
there.
we know how much it costs already. That's why it doesn't happen.
And people don't want it. See, people say in the same voice, yeah, they'll drive past the freeway and see people living there and like, man, they need to do something about this. And then when they try to say, hey, we're going to build 300 properties here that's going to house people who are homeless or veterans, they say no. And it is this is the problem with America. People will say in one voice, we need to protect the troops, we need to support the troops, and then you can have a veteran that's living out in the streets, and when someone says we will house them in this development, they say no. They vote it down.
Yes,
But this
I
is
know.
crazy. This is craziness. So you have people who are already in houses who say, I don't want any more houses built
Nobody cares about people.
for all different type of reasons. It's going to make too much traffic. It's going to be too much noise. The people that move there, they're going to bring in a bad element. They're going to be doing drugs and bringing people from other areas. We don't all kind of different reasons. So it's like a non-starter. It's a non-starter, and I don't
But
think.
but when you begin to dig into, like you said, the logistics of it, of it being a right? Meaning that you exist, and because you exist, you get this,
Mhm.
right? So if we want to be clear on what a human right is, because you exist today, this belongs to you. You have the right to this. You are entitled to this. So what would that take?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like what? How would it's impossible to do it that way because nature doesn't work that way. If if you look at animals, some animals have bigger caves or bigger layers or bigger nests or better nests than other ones.
You never been outside. You don't know that to be true.
Man, look, I've seen enough YouTube of when animals attack and like,
Right.
and
Right.
just I'm just saying in nature that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist to where you can give everybody the same thing
Well,
because
I
someone
think
always wants more.
even that argument, they're animals. I think
Are we not?
if we believe to be the true a true mammal who's on top with a bigger brain, and we're so great and we have all these thoughts, it's like um, we're gonna just fall short on these things when there's countries who've done it before, you know,
Okay, and how did it turn
like
out?
Sweden and Denmark, all these different places. Like
So
um,
okay,
their
so
things are.
but wait. Okay, so I can go to Sweden today and just walk in the house.
I don't know. I don't really know how it works,
Well, you know
but
what's funny about that? What's funny about that is you can actually do that in California
yeah, you can just walk in and
and be like, "This is mine."
put some stuff on the dresser and what they say, something residency. Yeah, they
That's
try to do that
crazy.
to one of B Wall's listens.
Yeah.
The established residency and just squat. They're getting mailed and everything. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, that's how people in dire straits. It's gonna get bad if it's not handled on some level.
I'm
It's
not.
gonna be
I'm,
it's gonna
I'm
be
not.
a it's gonna be a
I
lot of
want.
slums.
I want to make it very clear that I'm not saying this to say like the sentiment. Like I'm not with you in the sentiment that in the most perfect of worlds that these things are this way. Yes, it should be. In the most imaginative, perfect world, yes, everybody should wake up and have $10 billion that we,
Mhm.
and
Inflation.
everybody should be okay, and we should never want for anything. Yes, that is a dream.
Right. That's a utopia.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to say that, don't be mad. Don't be mad that somebody comes back at you with what it would take to do that, and then be like, "Oh, you're caping for capitalism," or
All right.
whatever. Like, no, we're talking about logistics. I feel the same way. You don't think I want
Yeah.
the same? Like, everybody feels the same way. It's just I'm not just gonna fight for it when I know it's a dream.
Yeah. 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 It's like it's possible, but improbable to
It's
actually
not
really do
possible. It is not possible. It's not possible because all it's going to take is for somebody to do something creative to the one thing that the government gave them that's the same as everybody else's, and someone will give them more for it.
He's like, hold on, you got the Tesla too? Oh no, I want that one too.
It ain't even got to be that.
I know you gave us. I know the government gave us all Tesla ones.
Say we all had a cup.
This person
say
everybody
had a cup and a plate that was government issued. Mm-hmm. And then somebody like Chris Brown decides to make a masterpiece out of his plate and draw on it or something. Right. You don't think someone would be like, yo, I want that plate.
Right. No, I believe
natural.
Yeah,
there's a natural occurrence.
There'll always be someone who wants a little bit more and go get a little bit more. But for those people, they deserve it.
Well, this was episode 20. I mean, so
yeah, we gotta get the babies back home and stuff.
We're gonna catch y'all in a couple of weeks. We're gonna get everything situated. Yeah, so hopefully y'all enjoyed season 1 and look forward to season 2.
Yeah. Hey, is anything else we want to say about we did great. I'm proud of us. We did 20 weeks to starting from I don't want to do a podcast to now 20 shows. So yeah. While we're on break and for a while between seasons, we encourage you to listen to all the other ones. And tell us your favorite ones, in the comments. Let us know your favorite episodes. And if you see us, let us know how you feel about it too. I've been getting a lot of that too. Like, hey, I really like, I like the episode. I like this. I'm getting this from it. Even critiques of, I wish this was to happen. I wish this. So I like to enjoy it all because we really don't get to hear much about it until you bring it up. Because we don't know who's watching, we don't know who's watching and who's listening. So it's always nice to hear some feedback, rather positive or negative, or critiques or criticism or whatever. So yeah, let us know.
Yeah. So with that, I think we go ahead and wrap up. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been episode 20. Thank you for hanging out with us for season 1. If you guys want to continue the conversation, go ahead and drop a comment, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys at the top of season 2.
Yep, let's do it.